Chapter 785. Long Yu was curious as he did not know what Long Chen was talking about. That's how humans are, curiosity kills. He despised Long Chen in his heart. Long Chen, I didn't believe what you said before, but I do now. I never thought that there would be such a fool in this world. Long Ao shook his head helplessly with a disdainful expression. Long Yu was not a fool. Hearing this, Long Yu was enraged and said, Long Ao, who do you think you are? How dare you behave atrociously in the Long family? Men, take him down. Long Yu, how dare you? Long Chen, why wouldn't I dare? Long Chen's face was ugly. Although he was the last disciple of the Long family's master, he had just joined the Long family and was a level 3 disciple. His status was definitely lower than Long Yu's. As for the future, no one could say for sure. Long Yu, Long Ao is the person that master wants to meet. If you dare to mess around, master will not let you off. Long Yu was very afraid of Long Chen's master, who was also the patriarch of the Long clan. However, things had already come to this point. If he were to take a step back, wouldn't he lose all his face? Long Ao, I heard that you created the dragon sect in the Jojo continent and are closing in on the level 3 Long family. Very well, I challenge you now. Long Ao, do you dare to accept my challenge? Long Yu, you're shameless. Long Chen panicked when he heard Long Yu's challenge. He knew Long Yu's strength very well. Even he did not dare to be careless when facing a high-level sacred master. Long Ao was just a low-level sacred emperor, a whole level lower than a sacred master. Once Long Ao accepted the challenge, he would most likely lose. Long Ao, ignore him. Come with me to meet master. How could Long Ao not know Long Chen's intention? However, even if he could hide once, how could he hide forever? Cosmic Dragon was obviously looking for trouble. If Lin Fan didn't accept the challenge, Cosmic Dragon wouldn't let the matter rest even if the Long clan didn't do anything to him. Since that was the case, Lin Fan might as well deal with it sooner rather than later. I accept the challenge. I accepted the challenge and looked at Long Ao in front of me. No one seemed to be able to react, including Long Chen and Long Yu. Because everyone on the scene was sure that Long Ao would not dare to accept the challenge. First of all, Long Ao's strength was not as good as Cosmic Long's. Secondly, this was the Long clan, Cosmic Long's territory. Long Ao was courting death if he accepted the challenge. Long Ao. Long Chen. Long T. Long. Hearing this, Long Chen almost laughed out loud. T. Ha ha ha, Long Ao, I have to admit that you really don't know the difference between life and death. However, I still admire your courage. Without giving him a chance to speak, Cosmic Dragon continued, Long Ao, seeing how brave you are, I'll let you go if you lose, but you'll have to kneel and beg me. Ha ha ha. In Cosmic Dragon's heart, he was certain that he would win this battle without a doubt. It had to be said that Cosmic Dragon was very confident. However, as an outstanding disciple of a Long family and ranked 89th on the Dragon ranking, Cosmic Dragon had the right to be confident. Cosmic Dragon was a martial artist of the Dragon realm, but he had not awakened his bloodline. Long family members usually had the opportunity to enter the ancestral hall to awaken their bloodline and reproduce their innate abilities. However, out of the 100 people who entered, only a very small number could successfully awaken their bloodline and reproduce their innate supernatural powers. It would not be an exaggeration to say that the ratio was 1% or even 1%. Even Cosmic Dragon, ranked 88th on the Dragon ranking, had not awakened his innate supernatural powers. It was easy to imagine how difficult it was to awaken one's bloodline and reproduce their innate supernatural powers in a Long family. Cosmic Dragon seemed like he still wanted to say something, but Long Ao had already taken a step forward. Since things had already developed to this point, Long Chen could only take a few steps back and leave the battle to the two of them. Since Cosmic Dragon had challenged Long Ao to a battle, this was a normal battle between martial artists. Even his master had no right to interfere. However, Long Chen had already made up his mind. If Long Ao was defeated and Long Yu went all out, he would kill Long Yu even if he had to risk being punished. Long Ao and Cosmic Dragon faced each other. The two of them stared at each other as their battle intent collided. From the start, Cosmic Dragon hadn't placed Longao in his eyes. In his eyes, Longao was just a heavenly king. The difference between them was too great. Longao, don't say that I'm bullying you. 10 moves. As long as you can take 10 moves from me, I'll spare you once. It went without saying that Cosmic Dragon was very arrogant, but he had the qualifications to be arrogant. Longao didn't say anything. He had heard such words far too many times. Everyone wanted to defeat him in 3, 10, or even 20 moves. But how many people could actually do that? Are you afraid? Seeing Longao not say anything, it wasn't just Cosmic Dragon. Even the others thought that Longao was afraid. The battle between Longao and Long Yu had already attracted a lot of spectators. Very quickly, Longao's identity had already spread. Because of this, many people were very curious. They didn't know what kind of courage Longao had to accept Long Yu's challenge. Longao definitely wasn't famous in the martial heaven continent. No one knew who he was. However, Longao was famous in the Long family. The reason was simple. It wasn't because he was resisting the 4 powers, but because he had created the Dragon Sect. In the eyes of the Long family, Longao was clearly trying to leave the Long family. He was simply courting death. His Longao. He doesn't look like much, but he actually dared to create the Dragon Sect. The master summoned Longao this time. I think he's done for. I've never heard of anyone daring to leave the Long family. Everyone was infuriated. Longao's actions showed that he didn't place the Long family in his eyes. If news of this spread, how would the Long family have any face left? The Long family had been suppressing the fact that Longao had created the Dragon Sect. Although the other superpowers knew about it, without the Long family's approval, no one dared to spread it. It was precisely because of this that everyone wanted Long Yu to kill Longao. He dares to accept the challenge? He really doesn't know life from death. Does he think he's a second Long Chen? How laughable. So what if he's Long Chen? He's just a lucky bastard. If the master hadn't taken a liking to him and taken him as his final disciple, he would have been trash at most. Chapter 786. He ignored the discussions around him. Longao had already finished his preparations. In this battle, he could only win and not lose. In the end, Longao chose to take the initiative to attack. Long Yu sneered. He did not take Longao seriously at all. However, what happened next shocked Long Yu. As the saying went, once an expert made a move, one would know if he was skilled or not. Longao did not hesitate. His cultivation level was not as high as Long Yu's, and he could only defeat Long Yu in the shortest time possible. Otherwise, he would be at a disadvantage. With teleportation, Longao's body instantly disappeared. Before everyone could react, Longao's body had already appeared behind Long Yu. It was as if they had seen a ghost. Because no one knew how Longao managed to do it. Long Yu could sense the aura behind him and was shocked. He did not dare to be careless and threw out a palm strike. Long Yu's reaction was very fast. If he was an ordinary person or a martial artist of the same cultivation level, he would have been attacked by Longao. This time, Longao did not dodge in the slightest. The divine dragon arm also smashed out fiercely. There was a loud boom. The two of them flew out at the same time. However, they were not injured. Even so, Long Yu was shocked. He did not expect Longao to fight him head-on. Cosmic Dragon wasn't the only one who was stunned. Everyone around him was rooted to the spot. It seemed that Longao was not simple. At this moment, everyone put away their contempt. However, after thinking about it, they felt relieved. Longao actually dared to create his own dragon sect, and even heavily injured the 4 major forces. If he didn't have any real ability, it wouldn't be possible. Long Yu clearly knew that Longao wasn't simple, but he didn't take it to heart. In his opinion, the difference between a holy sovereign and a holy venerate was like an insurmountable chasm. Longao wanting to defeat him was just a pipe dream. I would like to see how you are going to defeat me. Long Yu had boasted that he could defeat Longao within 10 moves. If he could not do it, he would be embarrassed. Because of this, Cosmic Dragon punched out with both fists again. Cosmic Dragon immediately used his dragon partner. For some reason, he had a feeling that Longao wasn't a simple person. In order to be sure, he decided to use the union of man and dragon. Almost everyone in the Long family knew that Longao was a dragon warrior. However, only a few people in the entire Long family knew that Longao had already awakened his bloodline and developed the innate ability. In other words, many people did not know that Longao already had the innate ability. After all, to awaken one's bloodline, one had to enter the ancestral hall. Long family disciples were unable to do so, let alone a disciple from a small 6th-ranked family. Everyone didn't know whether to laugh or cry when Cosmic Dragon used his dragon partner because a Saint Venerable was already at an advantage against a Saint King. Now, using his dragon partner was even more shameless. Under these circumstances, Longao did not use Long Chong's power. The reason was simple. Long Chong was different now. Long Fu was doing his best to help Long Chong break through to the immemorial divine dragon level. Once he succeeded, Long Chong would be the first immemorial divine dragon in the world. His level might even be higher than the primordial divine dragons. Moreover, when Longao first entered the Dragon Valley and obtained the little guy, the fire dragon had said that Long Chong's identity was not simple. Therefore, unless he had no other choice, Longao would not summon Long Chong. Fighting Cosmic Dragon alone was already difficult enough. Now that the red dragon was added, Longao knew that he could not afford to be careless. Just like that, the two sides engaged in a fierce battle. In just a few seconds, they had already exchanged 30 rounds. There was no clear winner. Longao's self-created martial technique, Heaven and Earth Sorrow, was like a tornado, instantly enveloping one person and one dragon. Longao did not use the solar ray to attack. The divine dragon arm and the underworld tiger arm ruthlessly smashed left and right, one punch after another, fist after fist, fist after fist, fist after fist, fist after fist, countless fist shadows, filling the sky. Only palm shadows could be seen. Cosmic Dragon was very surprised. He had never thought that Longao would be so powerful. He thought that it would be easy for him to kill his opponent with his strength, but the result was far beyond his expectations. However, a Saint Venerable was a Saint Venerable after all. Furthermore, he was using his dragon partner. Longao could not defeat Cosmic Dragon at all. Cosmic Dragon even managed to break through the tornado. At this moment, Longao's heart was very heavy because he knew that it would be very difficult for him to defeat Cosmic Dragon unless he could break through to the peak Saint King level. Out of desperation, Longao used the Earth Elemental art. The Earth Elemental energy around him formed a gravitational space at an unbelievable speed, suppressing Cosmic Dragon. The man and the dragon were almost crushed to death by the gravity space. Cosmic Dragon was startled, but he immediately broke through the gravity space with a dragon roar. He cursed fiercely. Longao did not want to use the Long Chong at all. However, things had already developed to this stage. If he did not summon the Long Chong, it would be very difficult for him to defeat Cosmic Dragon and the Red Dragon. After all, he could not use some of his trump cards, such as his innate superpowers. The dragon roared. Then, a huge black dragon appeared in the sky. Its body was 1/3 bigger than Cosmic Dragon's red dragon. The aura it released was not something that the red dragon could handle. Everyone knew that Longao was a dragon martial artist, so no one was surprised. However, what everyone did not expect was that the dragon companion that Longao summoned had such a strong aura. It was obviously a high-level dragon. However, the hierarchy of the dragon clan was much stricter than the hierarchy of the dragon clan. The red dragon's rank in the dragon clan wasn't very high. Not to mention Long Chong, even compared to the other dragon clans, it was still very weak. The red dragon and Long Chong's cultivation were almost the same. Because of this, Long Chong's aura suppressed the red dragon. The result was obvious. Next, a shocking scene occurred. Long Chong did not give anyone a chance. He went in front of the red dragon and started beating it up. The red dragon did not even have time to react before it was knocked down by Long Chong. Seeing this, Cosmic Dragon did not dare to underestimate him. Anyway, It was too late to save his dragon partner. There was only one way, which was to subdue Longao. Only then could his dragon partner be saved. Longao and Long Yu once again engaged in a fierce battle. One could only see their figures flickering unceasingly. At this time, Longao suddenly used his soul array to attack. Moreover, it was a diversion. His fist also fiercely smashed towards Long Yu. The result of this double attack could be imagined. P.S. There is a promotion on the website. Brothers, 1 monthly vote can be turned into 2 votes. Little 9 hopes that everyone can vote more. Chapter 787. If it was under normal circumstances, whether or not Longao could succeed using the soul array formation attack was still unknown. Moreover, Long Yu's soul was slightly stronger than Longao's. Therefore, once one used the soul formation to attack, the chances of suffering a backlash were very high. However, the situation was different now. Firstly, Red Dragon was beaten up by Long Qiong, and Long Yu's heart was in a mess. Secondly, Ao Long made a feint in the east and attacked in the west. At the same time, the soul formation attack missed. Long Yu screamed. Long Yu's body was shaking, and his face was pale. If not for Long Ao's mercy, Long Yu would have died. Long Ao summoned Long Qiong back. No matter what, this was the Long family's base. If he killed, the Long family would have an excuse to deal with him. If he was alone, Long Ao would not be afraid. However, Long Ao had the entire dragon sect behind him. If the Long family wanted to deal with his sect, it would be troublesome. Hence, Long Ao did not kill Long Yu in the end. Long Ao won. Long Ao defeated Long Yu. Everyone, including Long Chen, stared at the two in shock. Until now, everyone still found it hard to accept. After all, Long Yu's strength was there for all to see. Long Ao, you defeated Long Yu. That's great. That's great. Long Chen hugged Long Ao. As he was too excited, he did not try to avoid Long Ao. He knew what it meant for Long Ao to defeat Long Yu. Long Yu was ranked 88th on the dragon leaderboard. After being defeated by Long Chen, he fell to 89th. Now that Long Ao defeated him again, he fell to 90. Long Ao defeated Long Yu, and not only did he enter the dragon leaderboard, he even entered the 89th place. With the strength of a sacred emperor, it was impossible for him to be in the top 90. However, Long Ao did it. If no one is looking for trouble, we'll be leaving. Long Ao looked around coldly. Long Chen had just said that there was a faction in the Long family that wanted to kill him. Hence, without a doubt, the Great Elder would definitely send someone to find trouble with him now that he had entered the Long family. TMPH, so what if you defeated Long Yu? You'll still die later. The Great Elder has said that Long Ao founded the dragon sect without permission. Long Ao ignored the taunts and followed Long Chen to the Long family's main hall. The main hall was located at the peak of the mountain. In the center of the huge square, a very imposing palace stood there. The entire plaza was heavily guarded. There were powerful auras everywhere. Long Ao had just stepped into the plaza when he was enveloped by countless auras. He was shocked because he could clearly sense that there were no less than 20 divine path martial artists in the surroundings of the main hall. In other sects and families, divine Dao warriors were like ancestors. However, in the Long family, they could only be used to guard the Great Elder's main hall. 20 divine Dao warriors guarding the Great Elder's main hall. Long Ao could guess how powerful the Long family was. However, Long Ao wasn't envious at all. With thousands of divine Dao inheritances, as long as there was enough time, there would be hundreds or even thousands of divine Dao warriors in the dragon sect. At that time, not to mention 20 divine Dao warriors guarding the Great Elder's main hall, even 200 divine Dao warriors would be enough. Long Ao, what are you laughing at? Long Chen, if I break off with the Long family in the future, what are you going to do? Long Chen was shocked when he heard Long Ao's words. However, thinking about Long Ao's actions, Long Chen understood what Long Ao meant. No matter what, Long Ao had already established the dragon sect. Although he didn't say it explicitly, his intention was clear. He wanted to break away from the Long family. Long Chen couldn't imagine why Longao would do this. After all, in a continent where strength was respected, having a Long family as a powerful backer was a good thing. Seeing that Long Chen didn't say anything, Longao understood Long Chen's intention. Smiling, Longao said, "Long Chen, no matter what decision you make in the future, you will always be my friend. This will never change." Long Chen sighed deeply in his heart. Of course, Long Chen saw Longao as a friend. However, this was a difficult choice. After all, he couldn't make an enemy of the Long family. Long Chen, who is this person? Outside the hall stood two disciples of the Long family. Longao felt helpless because the two people in front of him were also titled Great Emperors. The Long family seemed a little too powerful. Long Chen was the last disciple of the master of the Long family, Long Di Tian. Therefore, the two disciples didn't dare to be impudent. "Senior brothers, this person is Longao. He is the person that the master wants to see personally." Longao? Hearing that the person in front of them was Longao, the two guards' faces instantly turned cold. Killing intent surged from their bodies. They couldn't wait to go up and kill Longao. Long Chen was shocked and immediately said, "Senior brothers, the master wants to see him." A mere disciple of a rank 6 family actually dares to establish the dragon sect. He really doesn't know his place. "Longao, even if you can come out alive this time, we won't let you go. If you don't put the Long family in your eyes, it means you don't put us in your eyes." The two's intention was very simple. They wanted to find fault with Longao. After all, as long as one wasn't a fool, they would know why Longao had established the dragon sect. Longao wasn't angry at all. On the contrary, he respected the two because they were proud of their Long family. Just this point alone was enough to confirm that they had good characters. At least, they were much better than Longyu. Anytime. Longao didn't have any fear or forbearance just because the two people in front of him were titled Great Emperors. Back then, Longao dared to touch something that belonged to the heavenly Tao. This in itself was enough to prove what kind of person Longao was. "Ha ha ha, kid, you have guts. Alright, based on your courage, we won't kill you. However, we can't guarantee the same for others." The two's aura was very strong. Titled Great Emperors were very powerful even in the Long family. Moreover, in their hearts, they actually looked down on Longao. The reason was simple. Longao was only a rank 6 disciple of the Long family. In fact, he used to be a rank 9 disciple of the Long family, which was the lowest rank of the Long family. In the two's opinion, unless it was someone with a Long family, they wouldn't even care about a rank 2 Long family. Looking at the intense smell of gunpowder between the two parties, Longao didn't dare to continue hesitating. If Longao and the two were to fight now, the one who would suffer in the end would definitely be Longao. This was without a doubt. After all, the Great Elder was already prepared to find trouble with Longao. Chapter 788. Senior brothers, the master is still waiting. The two of them did not plan to find trouble with Longao at this time. Although they were very unhappy with Longao, the two of them still knew their limits. The two of them moved aside and did not continue talking nonsense. Longao and Long Chen did not stay any longer. The two of them gently pushed open the door and walked in. The entire hall was very big and the decorations were very simple. There were only two people in the hall. One was a middle-aged man who looked very gentle and refined. The other was an old man who was around 60 years old. He had white hair and looked very old. Before coming, Long Chen had already told Longao about the identities of the two people. One was the master of the Long family, which was Long Chen's master, Long Di Tian. The other was the great elder of the Long family, Long Hang. Although Long Chen did not say it clearly, Longao could guess that whether it was Long Di Tian or Long Hang, they were both top experts in the Sky Martial continent. According to Long Chen, Long Di Tian was ranked in the top 10 of the heaven ranking. "Master, Great Elder, Longao is here." Waving his hand, Long Di Tian's voice was very dignified. "Chen you can leave first." "Master, can I stay?" Long Chen did not want to leave. He was very worried about Longao's safety. After all, the Great Elder had always wanted to eliminate Longao. If his master also decided, then Longao would really be dead. How could Long Dietian not know what his last disciple was thinking? Long Chen did not say anything, which meant that Long Dietian agreed. Long Chen immediately rejoiced in his heart and did not dare to say anything. He obediently retreated to the side and stood there trembling. Longao greets the Master and Great Elder. HMPH, Longao, do you know your crime? Before Longao could react, the Great Elder's furious voice had already sounded. His killing intent surged. As a supreme Dao warrior, the Great Elder's aura alone was enough to destroy any Saint Emperor warrior, including Longao. Crack! Longao almost knelt on the ground, and his entire body seemed to be suppressed and unable to move. Longao was shocked, because he could clearly sense that the Great Elder's strength far surpassed Long Baishan's. It was too terrifying. In front of the Great Elder, he didn't even have the chance to resist. Longao did not kneel. Instead, he asked, I would like to ask Great Elder, what crime have I committed? Ha ha ha, what a Longao! What a reckless fool! Laughing maniacally, the Great Elder's aura became even stronger. If not for Long Dietian stopping him in time, the Great Elder, Long Hang, would have already made his move. Suppressing his anger, the First Elder said, Master, what do you mean by this? In the Long family, there were two factions. One faction was led by the Master, Long Dietian, and the other faction was led by the Great Elder, Long Hang. All this time, Long Hang had wanted to take the position of Master, but Long Dietian was just too powerful. After so many years, Long Hang could not find an opportunity. Great Elder, this matter has not been clarified yet. It's best to remain calm. All this time, the two of them had been enemies, fighting openly and secretly. Otherwise, even if Longao created the Dragon Sect, the Great Elder would not be so angry. Long Dietian wanted to protect Longao, but the Great Elder wanted to destroy Longao. This was something that both Long Dietian and the Great Elder knew very well. Everyone in the Long family knew very well. Nodding, Long Hang had no intention of disobeying Long Dietian. No matter what, Long Dietian was the master of the Long family. As long as Long Dietian was still in his position, Long Hang would have to give him face. Longao, let me ask you now. As a disciple of the Long family, why did you create your own dragon sect? Are you saying that you want to leave the Long clan? Longao was not surprised at all. Before coming, he had already guessed that the Long family would definitely use this matter. As expected. Great Elder, the Long family does not seem to have a rule that disciples of the Long family cannot create their own sect. He was speechless because the Long family did not have such a rule. However, this time, the Great Elder had already decided to kill Longao no matter what and turn the tables in front of the Master. HMPH, Longao, everyone knows what you mean. There's no need to say anything more. According to the rules, not only you, even the dragon sect behind you must be killed. F***CK, how ruthless. Longao scolded fiercely in his heart. It seemed that the grudge between the Great Elder and the Sovereign had implicated him. It was really like a fish in the pond being implicated. Who had he offended? Long Dietian still did not say anything. This way, Long Hang seemed to have the upper hand. Longao, you're not convinced. Of course I'm not convinced. Hearing Longao's words, Long Chen was shocked. He hurriedly gave Longao a look. After all, in the Long family, the Great Elder's position was extremely high. He could even shake the Master. Angering the Great Elder was not a good thing. However, Longao ignored Long Chen's look. Long Dietian smiled. He was very interested in this youth in front of him. In the entire Long family, or even the entire Sky Martial continent, no one in the younger generation dared to speak to Long Hang like this. Longao was definitely the first. PH, so what if you're not convinced? This is the truth. I didn't wrongly accuse you. Longao didn't waste any more words with the Great Elder. He knew that Long Hang wanted to kill him. Since that was the case, anything he said would be useless. It was better to save his energy. Master, can I say a few words? Long Di Tian nodded. He was very surprised by Longao. Without giving Long Hang any chance to speak, he said, "All right, I also want to hear how you explain the dragon sect." In the eyes of the Long family, the dragon sect was nothing. In truth, everyone knew that the Great Elder was making a mountain out of a molehill. After all, the dragon sect that Longao had created couldn't harm the Long family. As long as the Long family wanted to, they could easily exterminate Longao at any time. Master, I am a disciple of the 9th rank Long family of Scarlet Flame Town. In the eyes of the Long family, my Long family is an insignificant existence. But in our eyes, the Long family is a supreme existence, a legendary existence. Longao didn't lie. Not only the Scarlet Fire Town's Long family, he believed that all the Long family and the Long family were unreachable existences to them. Regarding this point, Long Di Tian and Long Hang naturally knew it clearly. I don't know if it's true or not, but there is a legend in the Long family. As long as a disciple of a low-rank Long family becomes a dragon martial artist, they will be killed by the Long family no matter what the reason. Like this, we are all in danger. To tell you the truth, Master, I am also a dragon martial artist. Could it be that I have the chance to become a dragon martial artist and give it up? Chapter 789. What Longao said was absolutely true. Regarding this point, Long Di Tian and Long Hang did not say anything. As for whether this was the truth or not, Longao did not know. Since the two of them did not speak, Longao naturally would not stop. Longao knew very well that Long Di Tian was giving him a chance. After all, the Great Elder wanted his life. Fortunately, the Master was on his side. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. Master, the reason why I created the dragon sect is not because I want to leave my Long family. I have my own difficulties. PH, you have difficulties? Long Hang obviously did not believe him and snorted coldly. If not for the Master stopping him, he believed that the elders would have already taken action. Longao, what difficulties do you have? Long Di Tian was also very curious because he did not believe that Longao would leave his Long family. As long as there was water in his brain, no one would do such a thing. Sect Master, I've said it earlier. Although our Long family belongs to the Long family, in the 9 provinces continent, our Long family status is very, very low. Any random sect or family can step on our Long family as they wish. Is there such a thing? Act. Longao cursed in his heart. He knew very well that at such a time, whether it was Long Di Tian or Long Hang, they were clearer than him. However, under such circumstances, the two of them would definitely not admit it. If they admitted it, wouldn't they be slapping their own faces? So, Master, just by relying on our Long family will always be stepped on by others. So, I have to create my own sect. It's that simple. Great Elder, what I said is the truth. As for whether you believe it or not, that's your problem, not mine. Long Hang seemed to want to say something, but was stopped by Long Di Tian. I choose to believe you, Great Elder. The problem Longao mentioned is very important, and it is also something that our family needs to solve. Therefore, from now on, all of the Long family will need our help. I want all of the Long family to rise in status on the continent. Long Hang was not convinced, but he still had to say the same thing. Long Di Tian was the master of the Long family. At least on the surface, Long Hang still had to listen to Long Di Tian. Master, what should we do with Longao? Without waiting for Long Di Tian to speak, Longao continued, Master, regardless of whether Longao has his own difficulties, regardless of whether Longao has a motive, it is true that he created the dragon sect. If we don't punish him, it will be difficult to explain to the sect. Long Di Tian nodded his head. How could he not know about this? Although he valued Longao's talent and courage, Long Di Tian clearly knew that if this matter was not resolved, it would be difficult to convince the masses. No matter what, he was the master of the Long family, and he had to consider the interests of the family first. Long Di Tian thought about it, and Long Hang did not say anything. However, The killing intent on his body showed his attitude. After an unknown period of time, Long Di Tien suddenly coughed twice and said, "Longao, the Great Elder is right. No matter how many difficulties you have, you are still the one who created the dragon sect. This is an undeniable fact." He cursed in his heart. In fact, ever since Longao created the dragon sect, he had already decided to leave the Long family. However, as his strength continued to increase and his horizons continued to expand, Longao realized that the Long family was much stronger than he had imagined. Once he provoked the Long family, what would happen to the family? After thinking about it, Longao finally decided to temporarily obey the Long family. When the dragon sect was strong enough, it would be the time for him to truly rise. Every man for himself and the devil takes the hindmost. Longao did not say anything, because at this time, he no longer had the initiative. After all, the Long family's strength was there. If they wanted to kill him, it would be as easy as flipping their hand. "Master, then how should we deal with Longao?" "Longao, since you have your difficulties, you can avoid death, but you can't escape punishment. From now on, you will immediately go to the sky wall and reflect on your mistakes. You are not allowed to leave for a year." Sky wall? Hearing Long Di Tien's punishment for Longao, both Long Hang and Long Chen were shocked. Long Chen was pleasantly surprised, but Long Hang's face became even gloomier. This was because he never thought that the master would punish Longao like this. This was clearly an opportunity for Longao. How could Long Hang agree to such a punishment? "Master, isn't this a little too much?" In the entire Long family, only the Great Elder dared to speak to Long Di Tien like this. If it was anyone else, would they dare? However, Long Di Tien was not angry at all. He asked, "Since that's the case, I would like to ask, how does the Great Elder want to punish Longao?" Although Long Di Tien was smiling, Long Hang could not help but shiver. Others might not know, but he knew very well that the true number one expert of the Long family was not him, but the master, Long Di Tien. Long Hang also knew that Long Di Tien would not get angry. Could it be that he really wanted to fall out with Long Di Tien for Longao? In the end, Long Hang chose to compromise. Although the Long family was divided into two factions, in the end, Long Hang was still unable to fight against Long Di Tien. Otherwise, the master of the Long family would be Long Hang and not Long Di Tien. Since the master has already decided, we will listen to the master's arrangements. Nodding his head in satisfaction, Long Di Tien asked, "Longao, are you satisfied with this punishment?" Longao was not a fool. He could see some clues from Long Chen and Long Hang's faces. It seemed that Long Di Tien wanted to protect him in the end. More or less, Longao was still very grateful to Long Di Tien, even though he knew very well that Long Di Tien was only using him. "Thank you, master." Waving his hand, Long Di Tien's meaning was very clear. Longao did not continue to stay and slowly left with Long Chen. There were only two people left in the hall. One was the master of the Long family, Long Di Tien, and the other was the Great Elder of the Long family, Long Hang. The entire hall was silent. "Master, why are you siding with Longao like this? I would like to ask, what is the meaning of this?" Until now, Long Hang was still a little unwilling, because it was obvious that he was at a disadvantage in this matter. If this continued, he would definitely be suppressed by Long Di Tien, and he would never be able to become the master of the Long family in this lifetime. How could Long Di Tien not know what Long Hang meant? He sneered in his heart, but said indifferently, "Great Elder, you and I both know the purpose of Longao's actions very well. Isn't it a bit too much to execute Longao like this? Furthermore, with Longao's talent, it would be a pity to execute him like this." Chapter 790. What does it have to do with me? Long Hang cursed in his heart. "Master, you and I both know what the heavenly wall means. Even the disciples of the Long family are not qualified to comprehend it." Although Long Hang did not finish his sentence, the meaning of his words was very clear. Obviously, Long Hang was very dissatisfied. The heavenly wall was one of the forbidden areas of the Long family. Just as Long Hang said, the heavenly wall was a forbidden area for the Long family. Even the disciples of the Long family had to get permission from the master and the others. Therefore, what right did Longao have to go there? Not only did Longao create the dragon sect, but he also intended to leave the Long family. Moreover, he was only a low-level disciple of the Long family. If Longao went to the heavenly wall, how would the other disciples of the Long family be convinced? Another reason was that Long Hang was at a disadvantage in the matter of Longao. He was very unwilling. Waving his hand, Long Di Tian did not want to continue arguing. Great Elder, I have already decided. If you have any objections, you can directly bring them to the Elder Council. Staring at the master, Long Hang seemed to want to say something, but in the end, he did not say anything. With a cold snort, Long Hang turned and left the main hall. Only Long Di Tian was left in the main hall. As the master of the Long family, Long Di Tian's status and strength were all there. Looking at the empty main hall, Long Di Tian suddenly muttered to himself, I hope the calamity comes later. Sigh. A deep sigh spread throughout the main hall, but no one heard it. After leaving the main hall, Long Ao and Long Chen both let out a long sigh of relief. It was too dangerous just now. If not for the master's protection, the Great Elder would have already taken action. In other words, Long Ao seemed to have walked through the gates of hell. Mph, you are really lucky to be able to come out alive. Seeing the two people walking out of the main hall, the two guards outside the main hall were surprised. This was because the news of Long Ao creating the dragon sect had spread throughout the Long family. Everyone knew about it, and the Great Elder had said that Long Ao would be executed. But what was the result? It seemed that the master had won and the first elder had lost in the matter of Long Ao. Senior brothers, aren't you going a little too far? Long Chen's expression was very ugly. He was very happy that Long Ao had escaped death. However, Long Chen wasn't a fool. Although Long Ao had temporarily escaped death, the following days might not be easy. Long Chen, who had just entered a Long family, wouldn't have dared to do this. But now, Long Chen's status was completely different. As Long Di Tian's disciple, the two of them could only glare fiercely at him and did not say anything else. After all, they were outside the main hall. If they disturbed the master, it would be very disadvantageous for them. Looking at Long Ao and Long Chen's figures leaving, the two of them were very unhappy. The news of Long Ao being punished instantly spread throughout the Long family. Anyone who received the news was shocked because no one expected that the master would punish Long Ao to be sent to the sky wall to reflect on his mistakes. One had to know that Long Ao had created the dragon sect without permission. Even if he didn't want to leave the Long family, it was definitely an act of disobedience. According to the rules of the Long family, even if Long Ao wasn't executed, he wouldn't have a good time. But what was the final result? Not only did the master not punish Long Ao, he even sent Long Ao to the sky wall. The disciples of the Long family weren't fools. Of course, they knew what the master meant. On the surface, it was to let Long Ao reflect on his mistakes. It seemed like a punishment, but it was actually a reward. Because this punishment was something that everyone wanted. It was because of this that many people were unhappy. However, no one dared to go against the master's decision. But everyone vented their anger on Long Ao. They wanted to find an opportunity to cause trouble for Long Ao. Long Chen, what kind of place is the sky wall? Long Ao was very curious. He didn't know what kind of place the sky wall was that the master was talking about. But looking at Long Hang's expression, he knew that the sky wall was definitely a good place. Otherwise, Long Hang wouldn't be like a stinky dog poop. I also just entered the Long family, so I don't know much about the Long family. But according to what I know, the sky wall that the master was talking about is a forbidden area for the Long family. Ordinary disciples can't enter. Hey! Hearing Long Chen's words, Long Ao was very surprised. This was because he never thought that Long Di Tian's punishment would be to reflect on his mistakes in the sky wall. According to Long Chen, the sky wall was a forbidden area for the Long family. It was also a sacred cultivation ground for the Long family. Long Ao, although the master is on your side now, you still have to be careful. Long Chen didn't continue, but the expression on his face said it all. Longao wasn't a fool. Of course, he knew what Long Chen meant. He nodded. You just defeated Long Yu and just entered the Long family. If nothing unexpected happens, there will be many people who will cause trouble for you. So, you should hurry to the Sky Wall. Master has already said that you can spend a year in front of the Sky Wall. Okay. Longao had also thought about this problem. After all, he had just entered the Long family. Unless it was a last resort, it was best not to provoke others. It was precisely because of this that Longao followed Long Chen to the Long family's forbidden area, the Sky Wall. The Sky Wall was a forbidden area for the Long family. Ordinary people couldn't enter at all. The Sky Wall was located on a cliff behind the Long family's mountain. It was surrounded by cliffs, and a stone wall that reached the sky stood in front of the cliff. The Sky Wall gave people a feeling that could only be described with one word: shocking. If it was described with another word, it would be inconceivable. Longao, I don't have the qualifications to step into the Sky Wall. You should go by yourself. Looking at the Sky Wall in the distance, Longao was also quite shocked. He understood Long Chen very well. Although Long Chen was Long Di-Tian's closed-door disciple, he couldn't casually step into the Sky Wall. However, Longao was 100% sure that since Long Chen was Long Di-Tian's disciple, he would definitely have the chance to step onto the heaven stairway to cultivate in the future. Longao didn't say anything. He only nodded at Long Chen and walked towards the heaven stairway. The entire cliff was empty. He didn't know if it was deliberately arranged by Long Di-Tian, but the moment Longao stepped in, he could clearly feel two divine auras directly enveloping him. Furthermore, these auras were filled with intense killing intent. Longao, you really surprised me. I didn't expect you to be able to survive. Not bad, not bad. As the voice fell, two people walked out from the stone wall. Coldface, Jiyu Shuang. Looking at the two of them, Longao was more or less surprised. This was because Coldface and Jiyu Shuang were two relatives of the Long family. In other words, the two of them didn't have the surname Long. Such people were actually not valued by the Long family. Chapter 791. People with a different surname would usually be looked down upon by the Long clan. What does it have to do with you? Longao could clearly feel the killing intent that the two of them had towards him. However, at this moment, a cold voice rang out. Seeing the youth who had suddenly appeared, both Leng Mian and Jiyu Shuang's expressions turned unsightly. Scram! The two of them didn't dare to retort. They glanced at each other and saw a trace of helplessness in each other's eyes. Remember, starting today, you're not allowed to cause trouble for Longao. Otherwise, although the youth didn't finish his words, his meaning was clear. Seeing the two of them not even daring to fart, Longao was shocked. He was constantly guessing the youth's identity. Just who was he that could make two gods so afraid? Longao carefully examined the youth in front of him. His face was resolute, his facial features were charming, and his tall and straight figure gave off a feeling of explosive power. What shocked Longao was that no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't sense the youth's aura. In other words, this youth's strength was above the ancestors at the very least. What a terrifying existence. Many thanks. Waving his hand, the youth said, "No need to be so polite. I'm Longbo." Hearing this name, Longao was shocked. In the Long family, practically everyone knew Longbo. Even in the entire martial heaven continent, Longbo was an illustrious existence. Longbo was the #1 Longbo. His strength was unfathomable. Ever since Longbo had risen 10 years ago and taken first place on the dragon rankings, no one had been able to shake his position. Just how strong was Longbo? It was precisely because of this that Longao had never imagined that Longbo would appear at this time to help him. As if he could see Longao's curiosity, Longbo smiled and said, "Longao, come with me." He shrugged helplessly. Since things had already reached this point, it seemed he could only take one step at a time. They arrived in front of the barrier. Longbo pointed at the sky wall in front of him and asked, "Longao, do you know why father asked you to come here?" Longbo was Long Di-Tian's son. This was a well-known fact, so Longao was not too surprised. Shaking his head, Longao was still unaware of Long Di-Tian's words. Could it be that Long Di-Tian wanted him to comprehend and cultivate? It seemed a little unlikely. Smiling, Longbo continued, I believe you already know that in my Long family, there are two major factions. The first faction is led by my father, the head of the Long family. The second faction is led by the Great Elder. Both sides have been fighting both openly and covertly. For so many years, there has been no clear victor. Regarding this matter, Longao had already heard about it from Longao. He only wanted to say one thing. What did the conflict between the two factions of the Long family have to do with him? However, Longao did not say that. Longao, I already know about your matters in the 9 prefectures. According to the Great Elder's orders, once you enter the family this time, you will be killed without mercy. Do you know why you are not dead? Because of the Master. F***ck, Longao cursed fiercely in his heart. Because until now, he still did not know what Longbo meant. Was Longbo a friend or an enemy? Longao, you are right. The reason why Father wants to protect you is firstly because your talent and potential are not bad. Secondly, Father admires your actions in the 9 prefectures. After thinking for a while, Longbo continued, finally, the Great Elder must be eliminated, but the Great Elder's faction is deeply rooted. Father and I need your help, so Longao, I want to ask you now, are you willing to help us? If Longao could not guess at this moment, then he would really be a fool. Longao almost knew the purpose of Longbo's visit this time. However, Longao was very curious. He knew his own strength the best, and he believed that Long Di-Tian and Longbo also knew this point. Longbo, I believe you should be clear about my strength. Since that's the case, what can I help you with? Longao, you don't have to be modest. Although your current strength is far from enough, I can guarantee that it won't be long before you can help. Right now, I just want to ask, are you willing? How could he not be willing? Longao was very clear that the moment he did not agree or revealed a trace of rejection, Longbo and Long Di-Tian would be the first to not let him off. As long as I can help, I will definitely not refuse. Ha ha ha, good, good. With your words, I am relieved. Longbo looked at the sky wall in front of him and said, Longao, do you know the origin of this sky wall? Shaking his head, Longao replied, I don't know. Just now, Longao had already sensed it, and he was indeed unable to sense what was different about this sky wall. However, Longao was very clear that since the sky wall was a forbidden area for the Long family, there must be a reason for it. It was just that he had not discovered it yet. Furthermore, he did not dare to summon Long Fu at all. This made Longao feel extremely annoyed. The reason was simple. Before entering the Long family, Long Fu had already informed Longao that once he entered the Long family, no matter what happened, he would not appear. He would not even communicate with Longao in the slightest. Hearing Long Fu's words, Longao was very shocked. He did not know what had happened to Long Fu. According to Long Fu, there were many powerful existences in the Long family, such as Long Di-Tian. Furthermore, the Long Fu space had not been repaired. Once Long Fu's whereabouts were exposed, the consequences would be unimaginable. As a result, Long Fu could only cut off contact with Longao. In the ancient era, ancestor Long Tien defied the heavens and became partners with senior primordial divine dragon. Ancestor was also the first dragon martial artist. He dominated the world and was invincible. Was he really invincible? Others might not know, but how could Longao not know? Not to mention being invincible, in this world, there was more than one person who could kill Long Tien. At the very least, the godly mathematician and Tien Dao could easily destroy the alliance between Long Tien and the primordial divine dragon. However, Longao did not mention a word about this. Back then, Ancestor accidentally discovered this heavenly wall. After gaining enlightenment, his cultivation rose at an unimaginable speed. Because of this, the heavenly wall has been a forbidden area for my Long family since the ancient era. Very few people have the opportunity to comprehend the heavenly wall. Longbo was very proud. After all, Long Tian was indeed the strongest existence besides Tian Dao and the godly mathematician. Longao, you have a year to comprehend here. After a year, if there are no accidents, you will be chosen to enter the ancestral hall to undergo the bloodline awakening. At that time, whether you will be able to survive will depend on your luck. I am looking forward to it. Chapter 792. Longbow, I believe you should know that I have already successfully awakened my bloodline and reproduced my innate ability. Longao was very clear in his heart that the upper echelons of the Long family definitely knew about his awakening of the innate ability of bloodline reproduction. As the son of Long Di Tian and the number 1 on the dragon rankings, how could Longbow not know about this? Even if he was beaten to death, he would not choose to believe it. Longao, it seems like you still don't understand bloodlines. Longao did not say anything, he stood there and listened quietly. He knew very well that he was only a disciple of a small family. Long family had many things that he did not know about, especially bloodlines. Since Longbow had already said so, it seemed like the matter of bloodlines was not as simple as he had imagined. Longao, back then, the old ancestor suddenly disappeared, causing the Long family to be in chaos. They were unable to recover for many years, especially their bloodline, which became thinner and thinner. Longbow heaved a deep sigh and continued. Although I don't know how you awakened your bloodline, I know one thing. As long as you don't enter the ancestral hall, your bloodline won't be considered to have truly awakened, and the innate ability you've awakened won't reach its peak. So that's how it was. Longbow's words made Longao look forward to entering the ancestral hall. He really wanted to know what would happen once he truly awakened his bloodline and reproduced the innate ability, Dragon's Roar. All of a sudden, Longbow seemed to have become very excited, causing Longao to have no idea what was going on. Longao, to be honest, before entering the ancestral hall, I had already awakened my bloodline and reproduced my innate ability. So what? Longao still did not say anything, because he knew that Longbow still had more to say. As expected. I originally thought that since I had already awakened my bloodline and reproduced my innate ability, it would be useless even if I entered the ancestral hall. However, one day, when I stepped into the ancestral hall and reawakened, not only did my bloodline double, even my innate ability mutated. Do you understand what I'm saying? Regarding the meaning in Longbow's words, how could Longao not know? Nodding his head, Longao was also looking forward to it. He asked, "Do I have the chance to enter the ancestral hall?" Longao was not a fool. He was not a disciple of the Long family, so it was impossible for him to casually enter the Long family's ancestral hall. He did not know if others could do it, but the Great Elder would definitely not agree. Longao, I'll come find you in a year's time. As soon as he finished speaking, Longbow's figure had already disappeared without a trace. Longao was overjoyed. It seemed that he would be able to enter the ancestral hall after a year. He was very satisfied with the power of his awakened innate ability, Dragon Roar. If it could continue to evolve, he would be very happy. Zhongxian did not dwell on this matter. He knew that even if he could enter the ancestral hall to awaken his bloodline, it would still be a year later. Long long ao, long ao, long 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 long, long ao, long 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 long. Arriving in front of the sky wall and looking at the huge sky wall, Long Ao quietly began to sense. At this time, he couldn't contact Long Fu, so he could only rely on himself. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. Long Ao sat quietly in front of the sky wall. After a whole month, he still could not sense the difference in the sky wall. However, Long Bo had said that Long Ao had gained enlightenment in front of the sky wall, and his cultivation had advanced by leaps and bounds. If that was the case, the sky wall was definitely not simple. "Master, you don't need to waste time. This sky wall has been sealed." Hearing Long Fu's words, Long Ao was startled. According to Long Fu, the Long family's experts were as numerous as clouds, and Long Fu was afraid of being discovered. But now, why did Long Fu suddenly communicate with him? Was he not afraid of being discovered? "Long Fu, what's going on?" "Master, in this month, there has been an expert shrouding you, so I can't come out." But I just sensed that this expert has left, so. Long Fu didn't finish his words, but the meaning was very clear. Longao nodded, but he was also a little scared. According to Long Fu, he had been shrouded by an expert for this month. If he made a move, the consequences would be unimaginable. Who could this expert be? Longao didn't ask, because at this time, the most important thing was to comprehend the secret of the sky wall. He had been trying to comprehend it for a whole month, but he didn't have the slightest clue. Now that he had Long Fu's help, Longao believed that he would soon have a clue. Long Fu, you know the secret of the sky wall? But thinking about it, Longao fiercely scolded himself. Because he just remembered that Long Fu's previous master was Long Fu and the primordial divine dragon. Regarding this sky wall, if Long Fu didn't know, then who would? Nodding his head, Long Fu said, the sky wall is actually an independent space left behind by an expert. It contains the evolution of this expert's power. Back then, the old master had an epiphany and comprehended this power. That's why his cultivation soared. So that's how it was. Longao was pleasantly surprised. It seemed that he could also obtain this power. If so, wouldn't he be able to break through quickly? But Long Fu's next words were like a basin of cold water, pouring over Longao from head to toe. Master, the power of the sky wall isn't suitable for you. If you forcibly fuse with it, not only will it not help you, but it will also hinder your cultivation speed. Without waiting for Longao to speak, Long Fu continued, however, Master, you can go to the Dragon Clan's ancestral hall to try. Your bloodline has not officially awakened. Once you awaken your bloodline in the ancestral hall, not only your strength, I believe that even your innate ability will mutate again, and its power will greatly increase. Longao already knew about this point. But Longao was more or less unwilling to be unable to fuse with the sky wall's power. But Longao was very clear that if he couldn't forcibly fuse with it, then forcing it wouldn't do him any good. Long Fu, is there no other way? Longao shrugged helplessly. Just as he thought that this matter was impossible, Long Fu suddenly said, Master, although you can't fuse with the sky wall's power, you can use it to cultivate spatial teleportation. What does this mean? Long Fu, do you mean that I can use the sky wall to increase the power of my spatial teleportation? Spatial teleportation had always been Longao's trump card. If he could use the sky wall to increase the power of his spatial teleportation, then it would be a very good thing. Yes, Master. Your teleportation is based on the power of space. The celestial wall is also based on the power of space. As long as you enter the celestial wall, you will be able to comprehend the power of space. As for how far you can go, it's not something I can control. Chapter 793. Of course, Long Fu knew what Longao meant. Next, Long Fu used the power of the dragon seal space to forcibly send Longao into the sky wall. In the next second, Longao had successfully entered the sky wall, which was a grey and white independent space. Looking at the space around him, Long Fu didn't need to say anything. Longao already knew what to do. Teleportation came from the second revolution of the 9 revolutions reincarnation technique. According to Long Fu, the teleportation that he cultivated was based on the power of space. Just as Long Fu had said, the inside of the sky wall was indeed filled with boundless spatial energy. Without needing to comprehend, Longao directly used teleportation. Whether it was the speed or the distance, it was 3 times faster than before, even close to 4 times. However, Longao was very clear that the power of teleportation was increased in the sky wall. If it was outside the sky wall, it might not have such an effect. The reason was simple. Inside the sky wall was filled with power of space, but what about outside? Without wasting any time, Longao immediately sat on the ground and began to comprehend the so-called power of space. However, no matter how much he tried, he still couldn't comprehend it. What should he do? In desperation, Longao could only communicate with Long Fu and ask Long Fu, what should I do? Master, with your strength, it's impossible to comprehend the essence of teleportation. Therefore, we have to take another path. For this point, There was no need for Long Fu to say anything. Longao had already guessed it. The power of space was one of the most powerful forces in the world. It was comparable to the power of thunder and lightning. However, to truly comprehend it wasn't an easy thing to do. Master, the fastest way is to integrate the power of space in the sky wall. As time passes, you can slowly comprehend and refine it. This time, there was no need for Long Fu to say anything. Longao already knew what to do. 9 cycle of reincarnation technique. Longao's body immediately began spinning. Like a massive vortex, he kept absorbing the surrounding spatial powers. It did not take long before Longao's body could no longer be seen. The power of space in the sky wall space poured into Longao's body. Longao's body was like a bottomless pit. He absorbed as much space power as there was space power. He did not reject anything that came. Long family. There were only 2 people in the entire hall. One of them was the patriarch of the Long family, Long Di-Tien, and the other was Long Di-Tien's son, Long Bo, who was also ranked first on the dragon rankings. Father, can Long Ao really help us deal with the dragon clan's calamity? Even now, Long Bo still found it hard to accept his father's words. Although he admired Long Ao's talent, in Long Bo's heart, he more or less still looked down on Long Ao a little. First, in Long Bo's heart, Long Ao's talent and potential were far inferior to his own. Second, Long Ao wasn't a disciple of the Long family. He came from a small 6th rank family. Third, Long Ao could deal with the calamity. Was this true? Don't ask me about this. I went to find Master God Diviner before, and he told me to properly nurture Long Ao. In the future, Long Ao might become the savior of our Long family. We can doubt the words of others, but we must believe Master God Diviner. Master God Diviner? Perhaps others didn't know Master God Diviner's identity, but Long Bo was very clear. As the most mysterious existence in the world, Master God Diviner's Tao of divination could be said to be unparalleled. It was precisely because of Master God Diviner's help that the Long family had been able to deal with calamities time and time again. Long Bo already knew what was going on, so he didn't continue to dwell on it. Father, it's already been 3 months. In 9 months, I will bring Long Ao to the ancestral hall to undergo the so-called bloodline awakening. According to Long Ao, he has already awakened his bloodline and developed his innate divine ability. Whether he can undergo a second awakening and mutate his innate divine ability will depend on his luck. Nodding his head, Long Di-Tien said, "Take care of this matter personally. Long Hang wants to use Long Ao as an excuse to snatch my position. He really doesn't change. If it wasn't for the calamity descending, I would have already taken him out." Long Bo was very clear about his father's strength and the power of his father's faction. If he wanted to eliminate Long Hang, it would be a matter of minutes. Just as his father said, according to Master God Diviner's Tao of divination, the Dragon Clan and the Long family would face a great calamity. It was unwise to completely fall out with Long Hang at this time. Father, Long Hang has been looking for trouble. If we continue to give in, it will give Long Hang a chance. I know this. After Long Ao enters the ancestral hall to awaken his bloodline, let him go out to train. Later on, Long Ao will also participate in the Dragon Clan's secret realm. Hearing this, Long Bo was startled. Long Bo was very clear about what it meant to enter the Dragon Clan's secret realm. Not to mention Long Ao, even the Long family's disciples were limited in number. It seemed like his father really valued this calamity. However, Long Bo was very worried. He said helplessly, "Father, this time you helped Long Ao, Long Hang is already very unhappy. If you continue to let Long Ao participate in the Dragon Clan's secret realm, I'm afraid Long Hang will not agree." After thinking for a while, Long Bo continued, "If we let Long Ao go out to train, if Long Hang uses this opportunity to kill him, won't we be in a passive position?" How could Long Di-Tien not understand his son's thoughts? Regarding the Dragon Clan's secret realm, I will apply to the Council of Elders. Just Long Hang alone will not be able to stop my decision. As for what you were worried about, if Long Ao can't even handle this little training, I don't believe that he can help our Long family deal with the so-called calamity. So that's how it is. Your cultivation has reached the breakthrough point. Remember, within 9 months, you must break through. When the calamity descends, your cultivation must reach my level. Understand? He laughed and cried. However, Longbow still nodded confidently. As the number 1 person of the Long family's younger generation and the number 1 person on the dragon rankings, his talent and potential were needless to say. Father, don't worry, I will work harder. It's just that I feel that it's very difficult to break through my bottleneck, so I'm preparing to go out to train. Alright, be careful. Remember, no matter what happens, you have to protect your own life first. Understand? Longbow did not continue speaking. The confidence in his eyes was very clear. Longbow turned and left. Long Di Tien sighed deeply. Whether or not they could avoid this calamity depended on fate. Even he could not control this calamity. Chapter 794. Long Family. Inside the Heavenly Wall. After devouring for 2 whole months, Longao reluctantly stopped. Under normal circumstances, with Longao's strength, it was impossible for him to devour so much spatial energy. Forcefully devouring would only result in his body exploding. But Long Fu's meaning was clear. Longao couldn't comprehend spatial energy. There was only one way, and that was to forcefully devour spatial energy and then slowly refine it. In other words, the spatial energy he just devoured had all entered the dragon seal space. It didn't cause any harm to Longao. Because of this, Longao was very curious. Long Fu, why aren't you continuing to devour? Since he could devour spatial energy, according to Longao's meaning, he should devour all the spatial energy in the heavenly wall and leave it for himself to slowly refine in the future. Others might not know, but it was impossible for him not to know. Once he cultivated the 9-cycle reincarnation technique to its peak, even crossing the entire Sky Martial continent wouldn't be a problem. At that time, who in this world would be able to harm him? Master, your trouble has come. Long Fu only said this one sentence and didn't continue. No matter how Longao called out to him, Long Fu didn't say anything. In the next second, Longao's body was once again in front of the heavenly wall. He was very curious, not knowing the meaning of Long Fu's words. Longao. Seeing Long Fu walking over, Longao finally understood why Long Fu suddenly disappeared. If that was the case, then Longbow's strength was truly terrifying. Even Long Fu was afraid of him. You've been comprehending the spatial energy in front of the heavenly wall for 3 months. How do you feel? Although Longao didn't know why Longbow came, he still helplessly sighed, nothing. In the entire Long family, other than Long Chen, Longao didn't treat anyone as a friend. Since they weren't friends, he naturally wouldn't tell Longbow the secret of the heavenly wall. As if he had already guessed it, Longbow nodded and said, Longao, Father and I have already discussed it before. You are not suitable to continue staying in the Long family. What do you mean? Grass. Longao cursed in his heart. Of course, he didn't want to stay here any longer. However, he hadn't finished devouring the power of space in the sky wall. Once he finished devouring the power of space, he could leave without a problem. Longao, the first elder is very dissatisfied with you. Adding on the power struggle between the factions, if you continue to stay, you'll be implicated. So Father wants you to leave for now. 9 months from now, which is a year after you arrived on the Martial Heaven continent, you can enter the Ancestral Hall and undergo your bloodline awakening. Longao instantly understood what Longbow and Long Di Tien meant. They want to test me? Since things had already reached this stage, Longao naturally wouldn't stay. Otherwise, he would definitely be suspected by the father and son. At that time, the gains wouldn't make up for the losses. Since that's the case, I'll leave first. 9 months from now, I will return to the Long family. Good. Longao, even if you leave the Long family, you have to be careful. The first elder will definitely not let this matter rest. I understand this point. Longao was not a fool. Of course, he was very clear about this point. According to Great Elder Long Hang's status in the Long clan, it was easy for him to send experts to kill him. Furthermore, this was a rare opportunity. Longhang definitely wouldn't let it go so easily. Without saying anything else, Longao turned and left. Looking at his gradually disappearing figure, Longbo's expression was unknown. He muttered to himself, "Longao, I hope you won't disappoint me, since you are valued by the divine mathematician." At this point, Longbo's expression changed slightly. With a roar of impudence, he rushed out. Before Longao left, he found Long Chen and explained the general situation. After hearing this, Long Chen's expression was very ugly. He said, "Longao, if you choose to leave at this time, Longhang will definitely not let you go. With Longhang's status and strength in the Long family, even if he sends a divine warrior to kill you, it's not impossible. Is it possible for you to continue staying?" "Continue staying? Could he?" Longao laughed and said, "This is something that Long Di-Tien did on purpose. It's impossible for me to continue staying here. Put it down, I can deal with whatever comes my way." After taking a deep look, Long Chen finally nodded. He still couldn't see through Longao. After all, Longao had only risen in a few years. This speed was simply too terrifying. Longao left. Very few people knew about Longao's departure this time. Although Longao was relatively famous in the Long family, no matter what, Longao was not in the eyes of everyone. Furthermore, Longao had not appeared for 3 whole months. Many people had already forgotten about him. Long family, in a secret room. Great Elder, if we personally take action, once Master finds out, things will be very troublesome. Looking at the Great Elder in front of them, both Lung Mion and Jiyu Shuang had a helpless expression. Lung Mion and Jiyu Shuang were the Great Elder's people. This was something that the entire Long family knew. It was also because of this that Long Di-Tien deliberately sent the 2 of them to the 9 continents to summon Longao. If Long Di-Tien sent his own people to the 9 continents, Longhang would take action. At that time, there would be no evidence. Longhang coldly snorted and said, "Longao's matter, Long Di-Tien is obviously going against me. This time, Longao has left the family, so it's a good opportunity to get rid of this person. I've received news that Long Di-Tien seems to value Longao very much. Therefore, this person must die." Before the 2 of them could speak, Longhang continued, "I've already thought about what you just said. Immediately get up. Remember, don't personally take action. The Long family's subordinate sects in the Tianwu continent are at your disposal." Hearing this, Lung Mion and Jiyu Shuang were immediately delighted. Although the 2 of them were members of the Long clan, they were not of the Long clan's original surname. Therefore, they were ostracized. It was precisely because of this that the 2 of them knew very well that the Great Elder had given them this matter. "There's one more thing. Make a trip to the Clear Sky sect and Black Wind Valley. Tell them that Longao does not belong to the Long family. His life and death have nothing to do with the Long family. As for the grudges between them, we will not interfere." With the Long family's strength in the Tianwu continent, they already knew about the grudges between Longao, the Black Wind Valley, and the Clear Sky sect. It was because of this that Longhang was prepared to kill with a borrowed knife. At that time, even if Long Di-Tien knew about it, he would not be able to do anything without any evidence. How could Lung Mion and Jiyu Shuang not understand the Great Elder's intentions? The 2 of them nodded and replied in unison, "Great Elder, we know what to do." Chapter 795. The second day of Longao's departure. Something that no one, including Longhang, had expected to happen. Long family suddenly announced to the world. Longao had created the Dragon sect with the intention of leaving the Long family. He could escape punishment, but he could not escape death. Longao had been expelled from the Long family for 9 months. If he survived for 9 months, he could return to the Long family. Otherwise, he would have to fend for himself. Not only that, the Long family also announced to the world that the Long family would not interfere in the grudges between anyone and Longao. Originally, Longao was not famous in the Sky Martial continent. But now, Long family's announcement caused Longao's reputation to soar overnight. Everyone was guessing who this Longao was, to actually dare to create the dragon sect and leave the Long family. In a short span of a few days, Longao's past matters had already been thoroughly dug up. It was precisely because of this that many people admired Longao. After all, to be able to rise up in the 9 prefectures, Longao's talent and potential had already explained many things. There was only one person who could influence the Long family to announce to the world, and that was the patriarch of the Long family, Long Di-Tien. The person who was the most puzzled was Long Hang. Wasn't Longao someone from Long Di-Tien? Since that was the case, why did Long Di-Tien still do this? Long Hang was very clear in his heart that with Longao's strength, once he left the Long family, there would definitely be people who would deal with Longao in order to curry favor with the Long family. Among them, the Black Wind Valley and the Clear Sky sect were the first to do so. Although he didn't know what Long Di-Tien wanted, Long Hang was still very excited. In Long Hang's heart, he had once naively thought that Long Di-Tien was doing this because he was afraid of him. He had no choice but to do so, which meant that he had chosen to give up on Longao. Longao, who had left his Long family, had also received an announcement from his Long family. He cursed in his heart. Others might not know, but Longao knew very well that Long Di-Tien was doing this to test him. If he could persist for 9 months, not only would he be able to return to his Long family, but he would also be able to enter the ancestral hall to awaken his bloodline. If he couldn't persist, his Long family wouldn't care about his life or death. What a shameless and despicable Long Di-Tien. What a despicable and shameless Long family. Longao cursed in his heart. He was very clear that the Sky Martial continent was even more cruel and realistic than the 9 continents. In this continent, if you didn't have enough strength, there was only one way to go, and that was to stand there obediently and be bullied. If the dragon sect was strong enough to shake the Long family, would the Long family still dare to do this? Without a doubt, the Long family didn't put him in their eyes from the beginning. Otherwise, Long Di-Tien wouldn't dare to do this. In the end, it was still because he wasn't strong enough. Even if Longao didn't dare to do anything, he could only endure it. The reason was simple. No matter what, he wasn't alone. He had the entire dragon sect behind him. If the Long family really went against his family, what should he do? Thinking back and forth, Longao finally still took a step back and opened up the vast sea and sky. As for what happened next, Longao had already decided that no matter what happened, he would do everything he could to increase his strength as soon as possible. First, the first step was to break through to the Emperor realm. When he was in the 9 provinces continent, Longao had always thought that even if the divine Dao warriors weren't the strongest in the martial heaven continent, they could at least guard an area and call the wind and summon the rain. But when Longao came to the Tianwu continent, he finally discovered that the so-called divine path warriors didn't seem to be very awesome. Just like Lung Mian and Jiyu Shuang, such powerful existences, once placed in the Jojo continent, they would definitely be super existences that could cover the sky with one hand. But in the Jojo continent, not to mention the entire 9 provinces continent, even just the Long family, Leng Mian and Jiyu Shuang didn't seem to have a high status. At least, they weren't as high as Longbo Longao didn't continue to think about this problem. It was still the same old saying, counter soldiers with arms, water with an earth weir. Although the Long family had announced it to the world, Longao knew that unless the Great Elder took action, Long Di-Tien would definitely not send people to kill him. Longao hadn't left the Long family for long, about 3 days. The people from the Black Wind Valley and the Clear Sky sect had already arrived. Although he didn't know how the 2 great powers knew about Longao, it was obvious that the Black Wind Valley was truly furious this time. Daring to kill the young Valley Master of the Black Wind Valley was a serious provocation to the Black Wind Valley. Furthermore, the Valley Master of the Black Wind Valley naturally wouldn't let this matter rest. The one who died was his son, his own son. Longao didn't clash head-on with the Clear Sky sect and the Black Wind Valley. This was because the foundations and strength of the Black Wind Valley and the Clear Sky sect were there. It wasn't worth it to clash head-on. Although there were still 9 months before he came to the Martial Heaven continent, Longao didn't have any plans to leave the Martial Heaven continent and return to the 9 provinces continent. He had already thought about using this period of time to properly train and work hard to raise his cultivation realm. Somewhere in the martial heaven continent. Within the dragon seal space. Long Fu, did you mean that as long as I can refine all the spatial energy here, my spatial teleportation will increase by 3 times? Longao was very clear about what an increase of 3 times meant. Spatial teleportation had always been Longao's trump card. With spatial teleportation, even high-level cultivators might not be able to keep up with him. This was the power of spatial teleportation. According to Longao's current strength and comprehension of spatial teleportation, he could only teleport a certain distance at most. If he could increase his spatial teleportation by 3 times, wouldn't that mean he could increase the distance by 3 times? That way, even if he met a divine realm cultivator, he would be able to leave smoothly. Longao was very clear that in terms of true strength, not to mention martial emperors and divine realm cultivators, even holy venerables and sage emperors would be difficult for him to contend against. However, if he could continuously increase the power of spatial teleportation, even if he couldn't defeat them, he would be able to leave smoothly. Therefore, Longao placed great importance on spatial teleportation. Master, although you can increase your spatial teleportation by refining the spatial energy here, it won't solve the root cause. What do you mean? Longao didn't understand. Long Fu continued, Master, your spatial teleportation is a supreme martial skill that you comprehended from the 9 Revolutions reincarnation technique. Once you cultivate it to the peak, you can even teleport across the entire continent. However, to cultivate it to this level, refining spatial energy is far from enough. Then what should I do? Longao was a little impatient. How could he not know what Long Fu had just said? Once the spatial teleportation was cultivated to its peak state, one teleportation could directly teleport the entire continent. However, it was easy to say, but it was incomparably difficult to actually do. P.S. I have a bad cold today. I'm forcing myself to write. I'll write another chapter later. Hurry up and go to sleep. I'll post 2 more chapters tomorrow. Chapter 796. Master, it's very simple. You just need to comprehend spatial core energy. Core energy? Could the power of origin that Long Fu spoke of be the power of origin that he had obtained? Regarding the power of source, Longao naturally knew what it meant. The God Diviner and Long Fu had already said that on the martial heaven continent, as long as anyone could obtain core energy, they could reach the peak of the martial path. That was why he was willing to pay any price to obtain core energy. Master, I trust you've already guessed it. Is it true? Seeing Long Fu nod, Longao's heart thumped. He had never imagined that the spatial core energy Long Fu was talking about was the core energy that could reach the peak of the martial path. Master, core energy can be said to be the source of all power. As long as you can comprehend and refine core energy, no matter what kind it is, you can reach the peak of the martial path. Longao didn't say anything. He just stood there, quietly listening. He knew that what Long Fu was about to say was definitely a secret of the continent. As expected. There are many types of core energy. Spatial core energy is one of them. So Master, you have to think of all kinds of ways to comprehend spatial core energy. Otherwise, your spatial teleportation will never reach its peak. Longao wasn't pleasantly surprised. Longao wasn't a fool. He naturally knew that although Long Fu had said it so easily, comprehending spatial core energy was easier said than done. What's more, he had no idea where to find the so-called space origin energy. Long Fu, what is the attribute of the source energy that I obtained? It's not spatial attribute. Master, we'll talk about this later. Even if you find spatial core energy now, you won't be able to comprehend it. You'll have to wait until your cultivation base breaks through to the divine Tao before you can start. Longao was happy for nothing. Longao was happy for nothing. Without further ado, Longao began to cultivate. This time, he didn't seek enlightenment of the Tao of divination. Instead, he focused on the 5 elements heaven-devouring incantation, spell formations, and soul attacks. Longao was well aware that it was simply impossible for him to advance his cultivation base quickly. Thus, his top priority was to comprehend the 5 elemental heaven-devouring formula and the array formation's soul attack. Lung Mion and Jiyu Shuang were searching for Longao. According to the first elder, Long Hang, he wanted these 2 people to get someone else to do the dirty work, especially the Black Wind Valley and the Supreme Sky Sect. However, the 2 people who came out did not want to get someone else to do the dirty work. They wanted to do it themselves. The reason why Leng Mion and Jiyu Shuang wanted to take action personally was, firstly, that Longao was not pleasing to their eyes. Secondly, the 2 of them also wanted to claim credit. After all, they were always outsiders. So what if they were Supreme Tao warriors? However, it was as if Longao had vanished from the face of the earth. No matter how they searched, they could not find his shadow. Has Longao returned to the 9 prefectures continent? Waving his hand, Leng Mion sneered and said, "Impossible. Longao has just left the family. It is impossible for him to return to the 9 prefectures continent so quickly. Furthermore, Longao is not a fool. If he chooses to return at this time, not only him, but even the sect behind him will suffer. Therefore, I can say that Longao is still in the Tianwu continent. Furthermore, he is not far from us." Hearing her husband's words, Jiyu Shuang nodded in agreement. In the distance, looking at the 2 Supreme Tao warriors who were searching for him, Longao's expression was somewhat unsightly. Just as he had guessed, the first elder was still unwilling to let him go after he left the Long family. However, Longao did not expect that the first elder would actually send 2 Supreme Tao warriors this time. Wasn't he thinking too highly of himself? "Master, what are you going to do?" He was very surprised because Long Fu had not asked him this question for such a long time. Therefore, Longao said, "I still don't know." "Long Fu, what do you mean?" "Master, since you have officially entered the Tianwu continent, then you have to quickly increase your strength. Otherwise, it will be difficult to stay in this continent." Long Fu did not finish his words, but the meaning of his words was already very clear. Longao naturally knew this point. However, to quickly increase his strength, although it was easy to think about it, it was incomparably difficult to actually do it. "Long Fu, tell me, what should I do now?" "Master, if you want to increase your strength at the fastest speed, there is only one way, and that is to constantly refine souls and continuously devour them." So that's how it is. Longao naturally knew his own situation. The desolate saint physique. To others, the desolate saint physique was the most useless physique, but to him, it was the first divine physique. It was very simple. He had the desolate saint physique, so no matter what bottleneck it was, there was no bottleneck for him. In other words, when his cultivation broke through to the peak of the Saint King realm, others might have to break through the bottleneck, but to him, as long as he had enough power to devour, he could easily step through it. Ever since Longao's cultivation had broken through quickly, he had not devoured any more soul power for a long time. Now, it was time to continue devouring. Longao already understood what Long Fu meant. Ordinary soul power, even if it was refined, would not have much of an effect on him. However, the effect of the souls of 2 Supreme Tao warriors was different. Once he refined the souls of the 2 Supreme Tao warriors, Longao had full confidence that at the very least, his cultivation would be able to break through to the peak of the Saint King realm. "Long Fu, the strength of the 2 Supreme Tao warriors is right there. Even if I use all my trump cards, I won't be a match for them." With regards to this, Longao was still self-aware. Even if the Supreme Tao realm was not as good as Long Di Tian, Tian Dao, and the others, it was an existence that was infinitely close to the peak of the martial Tao. Not to mention him, even if a titled Great Emperor came, he would not be able to last 3 moves in front of the 2 of them. This was the terrifying part of the Supreme Tao warriors. "Master, I have a way to deal with the 2 of them." "What way?" Hearing Long Fu's words, Longao was instantly delighted. This was because he could not wait to kill the 2 Supreme Tao warriors immediately and refine their souls. Once he devoured them, his cultivation would increase tremendously. "Master, the 2 of them have just broken through to the empty god realm." It seems that their realms are not stable yet. With your strength, you will definitely not be a match for the two of them. However, if you borrow the power of heaven and earth, it will be too easy to destroy the two of them. This move again. With regards to what Long Fu said, Longao naturally knew what Longao meant. Back then, he had relied on this move to directly kill an enemy of a higher realm. Longao did not continue to hesitate. Such a rare opportunity, how could he choose to give it up so easily? Before dealing with the two of them, he was prepared to find a suitable place. This was because in order to activate the power of heaven and earth, he had to first set up a formation. In this way, it would probably take a long time. However, no matter what, Longao was a little excited at the thought of being able to deal with the two supreme Dao warriors. Chapter 797. If he wanted to kill the two supreme Dao martial artists, he needed the right time, place, and people. Long Fu's intention was simple. He wanted to borrow the power of heaven and earth to eliminate the two supreme Dao martial artists. However, no matter how long he waited, the right time never arrived. He let out a deep sigh. Longao knew that the two of them were not done yet. Since that was the case, he could not force them. Because of that, Longao did not continue to wait. After all, he had 9 months. If he hid, he was confident that he could avoid everyone's pursuit, including Great Elder Long Hang. However, Longao did not think that way. The reason was simple. Longao had already decided to use this period of time to train himself and increase his cultivation. This way, he would not be treated as a chess piece in the future. Black Wind Valley. Zhu Chuan and Kong Feng were killed by Longao. The Black Wind Valley's Valley Master, Kong Chen, was furious. He immediately sent out all the experts of the Black Wind Valley and issued a kill order. No matter what happened, they had to take Longao's life. The Black Wind Valley's overall strength was above the Clear Sky sect. They had 4 Saint Emperors, and Kong Chen himself was also a great emperor. In order to curry favor with the Black Wind Valley, the Clear Sky sect also issued a kill order for Longao. In this way, the Clear Sky sect and the Black Wind Valley joined hands to deal with Longao. In a short period of time, Longao became a sensation in the Tianwu continent. The Tianwu continent was divided into 10 factions. The 10 superpowers were the Shi clan, the Dan Alliance, the Martial Artists Alliance, the WN Shou sect, the Heaven and Earth sect, the Five Elements sect, the Wanzhan school, the Sword sect, the Purple Thunder sect, and the Black Heaven sect. The 10 superpowers were the peak of the Tianwu continent. According to the ranking of the superpowers, there were second-rate, third-rate, fourth-rate, fifth-rate, and even sixth-rate and seventh-rate superpowers. The entire Tianwu continent was too big. Longao chatted for a while and found that of the 5 major continents of the Tianwu continent, the other 4 major continents, the Eastern Region continent, the Western Region continent, the Southern Sea continent, and the Northern Plains continent added together, were not as big as the Tianwu continent. One could only imagine how big the Middle Sky Martial continent was. In order to avoid the First Elder's pursuit, Longao directly left the Long family's territory. This way, even the Long family might not be able to find him in a short period of time. The second day after the Long family announcement, the news that Longao had defeated Long Yu, who was ranked 80 to 90, and successfully entered the dragon rank also spread. The dragon rank was the most valuable rank in the Long family. All those who could get on the dragon rank had their talent and strength written all over it. It was precisely because of this that no one expected that Longao would successfully get into the dragon rank the moment he stepped into the Long family, and he even managed to get into the top 90. The eastern side of the Martial Heaven continent. After several days of constant travel, Longao finally managed to leave the Long family's territory. It was also because of this that he could finally breathe a sigh of relief. Walking on a remote path, Longao's expression was unsightly. Along the way, he had heard news about him everywhere, especially about the Black Wind Valley and the Clear Sky sect. Longao naturally understood why the Black Wind Valley wanted to kill him. No matter what, he had killed their junior Valley Master. It would be strange if the Black Wind Valley was willing to let him go. The Nameless Forest. The huge forest was black. Longao didn't know where he had ended up. Ever since he had entered the Martial Heaven continent, he had been traveling wherever he went. So without realizing it, he had ended up in this nameless forest. Longao didn't dare to be careless. He was very clear that the Martial Heaven continent wasn't an existence that the 9 provinces continent could compare to. Even a forest like this wasn't something the 9 provinces continent's forests could compare to. Longao. Before Longao had even stepped into the forest, he heard a familiar voice behind him. He was very curious, but he was also pleasantly surprised. After all, to be able to meet someone familiar in the unfamiliar Martial Heaven continent was naturally a happy thing. I didn't expect to see you here. Longao, I've already heard about your matters. I never would have thought that the Long family would treat you like this as soon as you entered the Martial Heaven continent. It seems the Long family isn't treating you well. Ling his Longao? Ling nodded. She had never expected to see Longao here. No matter what, Longao was very famous in the Martial Heaven continent. The person Longao had met was none other than Ling. Perhaps it was fate, but ever since Ling had been brought back to the Martial Heaven continent's Martial Artists Alliance by Hades, she hadn't been able to go out. However, the Martial Artists Alliance was going to make a big move in the near future. Without any other choice, Hades could only let Ling go out to gain experience, hoping that she could make a breakthrough. The 5 of them were heading to this forest. Longao seemed to want to say something, but in the end, he didn't say it. He didn't want to say much about the Long family. The reason was simple. No matter what, he still belonged to the Long family. Unless there came a day when he completely fell out with the Long family. Seeing that Longao didn't want to say more, Ling didn't continue asking about the Long family. Longao, what did you come here for? Shaking his head, Longao told her the truth. I just entered the Martial Heaven continent, so I don't know much about this place. I also don't know why I came here. Why did you come here? Ling didn't hide anything from Longao, because she had already made her feelings public. Although she was rejected by Longao, according to Ling's character, once she liked something, she wouldn't give it up easily unless she died. We came here mainly to gain experience. Since you have nothing to do, why don't you come with us? No, I object. At this moment, a discordant voice suddenly sounded. A young man standing beside Ling looked extremely wretched. He looked at Longao with an ugly expression. As long as one wasn't a fool, one could clearly see that Ling liked this person. This time, there were a total of 4 people who came with Ling. They were Ma Jian, Luo Li, Jiang Daodao, and Chen Bu. The one who objected was Chen Bu. He was also one of Ling's admirers. Furthermore, Chen Bu's status in the Martial Artists Alliance wasn't simple. The strength of the 4 was as follows. Ma Jian was a Saint Venerable, Luo Li was a Crimson Great Emperor, Jiang Daodao was a Saint Emperor, and Chen Bu was an Orange Great Emperor. Needless to say, Ling was the strongest among the 5, a titled Great Emperor. Originally, I didn't want to write today, but thinking of so many people supporting Little Jew, I could only grit my teeth and sit in front of the computer to write. This is really inhumane. I'll write 1 chapter at a time. How much is short? Tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, when Little Jew is better, I'll definitely write more. Finally, thank you to those who support Little Jew. Thank you for your votes. As long as Little Jew is alive, I'll definitely write more. Chapter 798. Chen Bu, what right do you have to object? The other 3 did not speak. Among the 5, Ling and Chen Bu were the strongest and had the highest status. Moreover, everyone knew that Chen Bu liked Ling. Now that a love rival had appeared, how could Chen Bu put himself in danger? Ma Jian, Luo Li, and Jiang Daodao were all clear about this. With just a glance at the young man in front of him, Longao already knew what had happened. Martial Artists Alliance. Longao already knew that Ling was from the Martial Artists Alliance. Since that was the case, The 4 people beside Tongling'er must also be from the Martial Artists Alliance. Longao knew that it was not a good time to make too many enemies. No matter what, he had just stepped into the Qianwu continent and already provoked the Black Wind Valley and the Clear Sky sect. Long family was also eyeing him covetously. That was why Longao did not want to provoke the Martial Artists Alliance unless it was a last resort. Ling'er, you have to know the purpose of our trip this time. So what? We have urgent matters to attend to. What if you bring an outsider, a piece of trash, and disturb our mission? I don't think you can bear this responsibility. Longao, who was about to leave, immediately stopped when he heard this. Although Longao had already ignored everyone's mockery, he believed that no one would be able to take it lying down after being scolded for no reason, let alone him. Chen Biu, don't go overboard. I have to say this. I have to go with him. Otherwise, we will go our separate ways. Hearing this, Chen Biu's face instantly darkened. It was as ugly as it could get. Chen-ph Tongling'er snorted heavily. She glanced at Longao and said, Longao, you will stay with us. No matter who it is, don't even think about interfering. Regarding Tongling'er's meaning, how could Longao not know? He felt somewhat moved because he had already made many enemies on this trip to the Qianwu continent. Tongling'er definitely knew about this. If he was with her, at the very least, the Black Wind Valley and the Supreme Sky Sect would not dare to act recklessly. Without saying much, Longao just nodded. Firstly, he really had no place to go. He had to take things one step at a time. Since Tongling'er was also here to gain experience, then there was no harm in gaining experience together. Secondly, he didn't like Chen Biu. However, Longao was still wary of Chen Biu's strength because he could clearly sense that Chen Biu was a genuine great emperor. Above the illusionary divine stage was the emperor stage. The great emperors were divided into 10 levels. In ascending order, they were Red Great Emperor Realm, Orange Great Emperor Realm, Yellow Great Emperor Realm, Green Great Emperor Realm, Cyan Great Emperor Realm, Blue Great Emperor Realm, Purple Great Emperor Realm, Black Great Emperor Realm, White Great Emperor Realm, and Golden Great Emperor Realm. At the end of the Great Emperor Realm were the titled Great Emperors. Longao could sense that among Tongling'er's group of 5, aside from Tongling'er, the other 4 were a Holy Venerate, a Holy Emperor, and 2 Great Emperors. Including Tongling'er, this force was very powerful. Chen Biu seemed to want to say something, but seeing Tongling'er's determined face, he swallowed his words. Even so, Chen Biu still said, Linger, since you insist on bringing this person along, then I have nothing to say. However, we are here to kill Great Emperor spiritual beasts and obtain beast cores. I would like to ask, how are we going to distribute the beast cores? Out of the 5 of them, only 3 were Great Emperors. Chen Biu was already unhappy with the distribution of the beast cores. Now that Longao was involved, he was even more unhappy. Moreover, Longao was his love rival. Longao didn't hide his aura, so the 4 of them could sense his strength at the same time. A low Holy Emperor was definitely the weakest among the 5 of them. No wonder Chen Biu said that. Tongling'er was very unhappy with Chen Biu, but he couldn't do anything about Chen Biu's status. He could only say helplessly, the 5 of us will follow the previous distribution. As for Longao, I will give him half of my beast cores. Since things had already reached this point, Tongling'er obviously wouldn't back down. This wasn't a matter of face. The most important thing was that he liked Longao. He couldn't let Longao lose face. Although Ma Jian, Luo Li, and Jiang Daodao were wary of Chen Biu's status, they were even more wary of Tongling'er. In their eyes, Tongling'er was more trustworthy than Chen Biu. Because of this, the 3 of them said at the same time, our beast cores will be split equally with Longao. The 3 of them didn't know much about Longao. They only knew that Longao was pretty good in the 9 provinces. The Long family had told the world about him, and the Black Wind Valley and Clear Sky sect had worked together to hunt him down. However, in their eyes, they still looked down on Longao more or less. It was only because of Tongling'er. You guys. Before Chen Biu could say anything, Tongling'er already said, since it's like that, it's decided. Let's go. Before leaving, Tong Linga didn't forget to add, "Whoever isn't willing can leave now." Seeing the two of them enter the forest, the three of them didn't dare to hesitate at all. In their hearts, they would rather offend Chen Buyue than Tong Linga. Chen Buyue's face was very gloomy as he watched the group gradually disappear. He had never thought that Tong Linga would shed all pretense of cordiality with him over a piece of trash. The more Tong Linga acted like this, the more he felt indignant. Murderous intent surged as he clenched his fists tightly. Chen Buyue said viciously, "Longao, just you wait. I will make sure you die without a burial place. And the three of you, you betrayed me. Since you dared to betray me, all of you should die." Nameless forest. The six of them entered the forest, each of them on high alert. This was because even though Longao didn't know about the forest, the five of them knew about it. However, among the five of them, there were three great emperors. Of the remaining two, one was a saint venerable while the other was a saint emperor. This force seemed to be able to disregard any opponent as long as they did not encounter a divine way cultivator. Longao, our mission this time is very simple. We have to kill as many great emperor spiritual beasts as possible and obtain their beast cores within a month. I believe you should know that our mission this time is very dangerous, but it's also a training experience for us. Linga, do you have other uses for the beast cores of the great emperor spiritual beasts? Longao wasn't a fool. Of course, he knew that it wasn't that simple. Otherwise, Chen Buyue wouldn't be so agitated. Moreover, these were beast cores of great emperor spiritual beasts, not ordinary beast cores. Chapter 799. He nodded. Tong Linga didn't try to hide anything. She said, "Other than training, there's another reason we came out this time." Longao didn't ask. He knew that Tong Linga would tell him what she wanted to say even if he didn't ask. If Tong Linga didn't want to say it, she wouldn't say it no matter what he did. Other than hunting great emperor spiritual beasts and obtaining their beast cores, we're also here to look for something. Tong Linga didn't want to talk about it. She changed the topic and said, "After we divide the beast cores, we'll get a reward. Martial Artists Alliance." Tong Linga was shocked when she heard Longao's words. Tong Linga immediately understood what Longao meant. Could it be that Longao had guessed her identity? Seeing Longao nod, Tong Linga sighed deeply and asked, "How did you know?" Longao didn't hide anything. He told her everything that happened in the 9 prefectures. Tong Linga was enlightened. She said, "So you're here. Longao, I can't do anything. Master will definitely deal with you for senior sister. So, let me give you a piece of advice. Unless you're strong enough to shake the Martial Artists Alliance, don't come to the Martial Artists Alliance to look for senior sister no matter what. Do you understand?" Regarding Tong Linga's good intentions, how could Longao not know? But even so, was he really not going to look for Yu Yin? The answer was without a doubt. He would definitely go, whether it was a mountain of blades or a sea of flames. Longao was very worried about Yu Yin's situation. When Shapotian came to him, he had already expressed his intention. Longao believed that there were many people like Shapotian in the Tianwu continent. If that was the case, wouldn't Yu Yin be in danger if she didn't agree? Because of this, Longao knew that no matter what, he had to quickly improve his strength and bring Yu Yin out of the Martial Artists Alliance as soon as possible. Longao did not continue to ask about the Martial Artists Alliance, because he knew that with his current strength, what could he do even if he knew? He sighed deeply. At this moment, Tong Linga's heart was very tangled. From a selfish point of view, she really did not wish for Longao and Yu Yin to be together. However, the feelings between the two of them, perhaps others did not know, but she knew very well. It was precisely because of this that Tong Linga could not bear to separate the two of them. "If you don't leave or abandon me, I will stay by your side in life and death." Tong Linga was very envious of the love between Longao and Yu Yin. The more they were like this, the more Tong Linga couldn't let go. The two of them were silent for a short while. The 4 people walking behind them thought that the two of them had feelings for each other, especially Chen Buyue. He was so angry that his teeth itched. However, He was very afraid of Tong Linga's strength and did not dare to make a move. Tong Linga was a better Great Emperor martial artist, while he was only an orange Great Emperor martial artist. The two of them were not on the same level. The gap between them was very big. It could be said that as long as Tong Linga wanted to, she could kill Chen Bue anytime, anywhere. Do you guys think that Linga will really be together with this person? It should be about the same. Did you guys see it? Yes, I have never seen Linga treat a man like this. This is really big news. If Linga liked other people from the Martial Artists Alliance, I might believe it. But she likes this person. At this point, the three of them shook their heads at the same time. Their faces were full of disbelief. As for Longao, the three of them more or less had some understanding of him. Although Longao's strong rise and counterattack from the trash was very admirable, it was still the same sentence. From the beginning to the end, Longao had never been looked down upon by them. It was only because of Tong Linga's face. The three of you better remember this. Looking at Chen Bue who flashed past, the three of them shook their heads helplessly. Now that things had come to this point, it seemed like they could only rely on Linga's thigh. This way, they might be able to protect themselves. Linga, I just sensed the presence of a Great Emperor spiritual beast. Kill. Killing was decisive. Just like that, the six of them charged towards the Great Emperor spiritual beast. This time, the Martial Artists Alliance had sent out 5 people. 2 of them were not Great Emperor martial artists and could not kill a Great Emperor spiritual beast. However, the Martial Artists Alliance's intention was very clear. They wanted the 2 of them to gain some experience. Therefore, among the 6 of them, other than Longao who did not participate and stood aside to watch the battle, the other 5 all charged towards the Great Emperor spiritual beast. Tong Linga would not participate in the battle. Chen Bue and Luo Li were the main forces. As for the other 2, they would seize the opportunity to attack. This way, they would be able to kill the Great Emperor spiritual beast without any risk. Just as expected. In just a few short hunts, Jiang Daodao, who was already at the peak of the Saint Emperor realm, successfully broke through to the Crimson Great Emperor realm. Ma Jian also broke through from the Saint Master realm to the Saint Emperor realm. This kind of cultivation was simply heaven-defying. However, the 2 of them were not surprised at all. They knew very well that the reason why they could break through in such a short time was very simple. Before leaving the Martial Artists Alliance, they had received the inheritance of power. In just one day, the 5 of them had already killed 3 Crimson Great Emperor spiritual beasts and obtained 3 beast cores. According to the principle of equal distribution, the 3 beast cores were given to Tong Linga, Chen Bue, and Luo Li. If they could continue to hunt, then the beast cores would be given to the remaining 2. If they could not, then the 3 beast cores would be divided equally. As for Longao, he did not have the right to divide equally. After all, Chen Bue did not agree to it. In other words, after the 5 of them divided equally, Tong Linga and the other 3 took out their beast cores and divided them into 5 portions. Although the other 3 did not say anything about it, they were very unhappy about it. This matter was very simple. In everyone's eyes, Longao was a freeloader. According to this distribution, Chen Bue would get the most beast cores among the 5 of them. When the time came, he would get more rewards. Divine Phantom Condor, a Saint Emperor spiritual beast. According to the strength of the 5 of them, low-level spiritual beasts, even Saint Emperor spiritual beasts, were nothing in their eyes. However, at this moment, Chen Bue waved his hand and said with a cold smile, "Linga, although you have said that the beast cores you get will be divided equally with Longao, this is still unfair to the 3 of them. Chen Bue, what do you want?" Hearing Chen Bue's words, Tong Linga was furious to the extreme. If it were not for Chen Bue's identity, she would have already attacked him. Ignoring the furious Tong Linga, Chen Bue looked at Longao and said with a cold smile, "Longao, cut the crap. Since you want to divide the beast cores equally, then show some effort. Even if you can't kill a Saint Emperor spiritual beast, this Saint Emperor Divine Phantom Condor shouldn't be a problem, right? Show us what you got. P.S. Thank you so much for supporting Xiaoju. Xiaoju is sincerely grateful. 3 chapters today, I will go and rest. If I get better tomorrow, I will make up for the 4 chapters 10. Chapter 800. How could Tong Linga and the others not understand Chen Buer's intentions? Because of this, Tong Linga was furious to the extreme. But before Tong Linga could say anything, Longao had already waved his hand to stop her. Longao knew very well that if he didn't do anything, Chen Buer wouldn't just stand by and watch. If it was just him, it would be fine. After all, this matter involved Tong Linga. Longao had agreed. Ma Jian and the others were very surprised to see Longao. They had never thought that Longao would really agree. After all, they knew very well what the Divine Phantom Condor meant. Although the Divine Phantom Condor was a Saint King spiritual beast, its speed was comparable to a Great Emperor spiritual beast. Longao, you don't understand the Divine Phantom Condor. Longao waved his hand. How could he not know what Tong Linga was worried about? Without continuing to listen, Longao's body had already shot out. The corner of Chen Buer's mouth slowly curled into a cold smile. In Chen Buer's opinion, even if Longao was a Saint King, he was only a junior Saint King. It seemed impossible for him to kill the Divine Phantom Condor. Moreover, the Divine Phantom Condor's speed was obvious. Let alone a mere Saint King, even a Great Emperor might not be able to catch up to it. Chen Buer, you're doing this on purpose. Linga, we don't care if you have a good relationship with Longao, but this matter involves all of our interests. Even if you don't divide my beast core, don't tell me you don't divide the others' beast cores. Ma Jian and the others didn't say anything. Tong Linga didn't continue asking because she already knew what the 3 of them meant. Although she was incomparably furious, no matter what, the 5 of them came out together this time. Unless it was absolutely necessary, she really didn't want to fall out with them. The Divine Phantom Condor's strength was ordinary. At most, it was slightly stronger than a Saint King spiritual beast. However, it was truly too fast. Even a Great Emperor might not be its match in terms of speed. If it had been anyone else, they definitely wouldn't have been able to deal with the Divine Phantom Condor. However, Longao's situation was completely different. Originally, Longao hadn't wanted to use spatial teleportation, but he knew that if he didn't use spatial teleportation, he wouldn't be able to catch up to the Divine Phantom Condor with his own strength. He's dead. Although he did not say it, Chen Buer believed that Longao was dead for sure. He knew the Divine Phantom Condor's speed and strength the best. How could a puny first-level Saint King be a match for the Divine Phantom Condor? However, what happened next deeply shocked everyone. Longao's body was constantly changing, his speed as fast as a gust of wind. Before anyone could figure out what was going on, Longao had already intercepted the Divine Phantom Condor. It was a sure-hit attack. Longao didn't want to waste any more time. His Divine Dragon arms and Underworld Tiger arms smashed out as fast as lightning. He didn't even give the Divine Phantom Condor any time to think. In just a few short seconds, the Divine Phantom Condor had already been smashed to the point where it hovered between life and death. Longao didn't show any mercy. He directly smashed the Divine Phantom Condor to death and stood aside. Chen Buer and the others were shocked. They didn't know how Longao had done it. Although this beast core isn't as good as the beast core of a Great Emperor Spirit Beast, I've already done it. Chen Buer was extremely unhappy. Originally, he wanted to use the Divine Phantom Condor to kill Longao. But what was the result? Not only did the Divine Phantom Condor fail to kill Longao, it was killed by Longao. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they wouldn't have believed it. Chen Buer cursed in his heart. He was very unwilling. If it was just a few beast cores of a Great Emperor Spirit Beast, it would be fine. But the problem now was that Ling clearly liked Lin Fan. If Ling was really taken away by Lin Fan, what should he do? Chen Buer wasn't a fool. Although Tong Ling was very beautiful, with his status, it was easy for him to find a few beautiful girls. Chen Buer's most important goal was Tong Ling identity. Chen Biu'er knew that as long as he could get Tongling, he would be like a tiger that had grown wings in the Martial Artists Alliance. He could get whatever he wanted in the future. Longao, so what if you killed the divine phantom condor? You can't kill a great emperor spirit beast. Damn, Longao cursed in his heart. He knew very well that Chen Biu'er was obviously looking for trouble. Even if he could kill a great emperor spirit beast, he believed that Chen Biu'er would still do the same. Because of this, Longao didn't continue talking nonsense. Chen Biu'er, don't go too far. Tongling was already furious to the extreme, to the point where he could no longer tolerate it. If not for Longao stopping him, Tongling would have definitely made a move. The more Tongling acted like this, the more Chen Biu'er hated Longao. Ma Jian and the other two didn't say anything. Just like that, the 6 of them continued their journey to hunt great emperor spirit beasts. However, in order not to cause trouble, Tongling had already informed the other 4 that she would share the great emperor spirit beast elixirs with Longao and herself. In Tongling's opinion, Chen Biu'er and the other 3 wouldn't say anything more. No matter what, among the 6 of them, as long as she was a titled great emperor, she would contribute the most. If she didn't do anything, the 4 of them wouldn't be able to kill great emperor spirit beasts quickly. If they encountered a great emperor spirit beast that was above the orange grade, the 4 of them might not even be able to leave safely, let alone kill it. Golden Flame Crystal Beast, a titled Great Emperor Spirit Beast, run. The Golden Fire Crystal Beast was a titled Great Emperor level spiritual beast. Even Tongling wouldn't dare to fight it head-on, let alone a normal Great Emperor level martial artist. Unless a Supreme Dao martial artist intervened. No one would have thought that they would encounter a Golden Flame Crystal Beast at this moment. The Golden Flame Crystal Beast was a Great Emperor Spirit Beast that possessed the power of fire and metal. When the 6 of them saw the Golden Flame Crystal Beast, the Golden Flame Crystal Beast also saw the 6 of them. The Golden Flame Crystal Beast roared crazily as its entire body emitted a terrifying power of fire. Before the 6 of them could turn around and leave, they were already enveloped by the boundless power of fire. Since they couldn't run, the 6 of them chose to fight back. Longao, follow behind me. Don't take a step away from me. Longao knew what Tongling meant, so he didn't say anything. However, at this moment, Chen Biu'er's figure suddenly scuttled over. He didn't even mind being engulfed by the surrounding power of fire. Chen Biu'er made his move without hesitation. If it was under normal circumstances, Longao would definitely be vigilant. However, at this moment, Longao didn't expect Chen Biu'er to ignore the Golden Flame Crystal Beast's attack and risk his life to deal with him. P.S. Today is much better. However, I still need to rest for a day. Today is still 3 chapters. I owe 6 chapters. Tomorrow and the day after tomorrow will be 8 chapters. Thank you for everyone's support over the past few days. Little 9 is really grateful. Chapter 801. In his carelessness. Longao was struck hard. Under the palm strike, Longao's body flew out like a kite with a broken string. Chen Biu'er, you're courting death. Seeing Chen Biu'er suddenly attacking Longao, Tongling was shocked. She was so angry that she almost erupted like a volcano. As a titled martial artist, Tongling could kill Chen Biu'er in a matter of minutes. If it was under normal circumstances, Tongling wouldn't attack Chen Biu'er no matter what. After all, Chen Biu'er's status was there. However, the situation was different now. Longao's life and death were unknown. Tongling was obviously furious. However, Chen Biu'er was already prepared. He didn't wait for Tongling to attack and had already escaped. However, Chen Biu'er couldn't escape no matter what. The Golden Flame Crystal Beast's flame power was too strong. Since things had already reached this stage, Tongling didn't dare to be careless. She resisted the Golden Flame Crystal Beast with all her might. As expected of a titled Great Emperor, Tongling eventually left with the trio. Die. Seeing that Tongling had left, Chen Biu'er wasn't angry. Instead, he was happy. The reason was simple. Under such circumstances, there was finally no one in his way. Longao, who was sent flying by the palm strike, forcibly stopped in mid-air. His face was extremely gloomy. Fortunately, he had the protection of the desolate divine body. Otherwise, Chen Buer's palm strike would have taken his life. However, Longao wasn't a fool. He knew that with his current strength, he wasn't Chen Buer's opponent. However, how could he give up such a rare opportunity so easily? Golden Flame Crystal Beast. That's right. Longao was planning to borrow the power of the Golden Flame Crystal Beast to deal with Chen Buer. Although Chen Buer was an Orange Great Emperor, the Golden Flame Crystal Beast's strength wasn't on the same level. The difference between the two was huge. In front of the Golden Flame Crystal Beast, Chen Buer was only trash. Longao, you're definitely going to die today. Are you bragging? Longao looked at Chen Longao with disdain. Then, he sent out a palm strike and turned towards the Golden Flame Crystal Beast. Chen Buer was shocked. He didn't know what Longao was trying to do. Could it be that Longao knew that he was going to die and wanted to commit suicide? Chen Buer did not dare to chase after the Golden Flame Crystal Beast. What a joke! The strength of the Golden Flame Crystal Beast was not something he could contend against. But at this moment, Longao's body suddenly appeared in front of Chen Buer. Without any hesitation, a terrifying blade radiance instantly arrived. If Chen Buer had not dodged in time, he would have been killed by the blade radiance. It was a lingering fear. Seeing Longao dashing towards the Golden Flame Crystal Beast, Chen Buer gritted his teeth in anger. He had no idea how Longao did it. You'll regret this. Just as Chen Buer was about to turn around and leave, Longao, who had just left, appeared in front of him again. This time, Longao slashed out 3 terrifying saber radiances consecutively, each more powerful than the previous one. Before Chen Buer could react, Longao's body disappeared again. He was still dashing towards the Golden Flame Crystal Beast. What was Longao trying to do? Chen Buer was furious. He knew that Longao was obviously provoking him. If he continued to tolerate it, wouldn't he be telling everyone that he was afraid of Longao? Just as Chen Buer was about to chase after Longao, the Golden Flame Crystal Beast, which had been in a state of rage, suddenly dashed towards him. The Golden Flame Crystal Beast was very fast. In the blink of an eye, it had arrived. The Golden Flame Crystal Beast was releasing flames that quickly enveloped Chen Buer. Chen Buer was shocked. Chen Buer didn't dare to fight with the Golden Flame Crystal Beast. He could only turn and run. At this moment, Longao's body appeared for the 3rd time. He was still sending out saber radiances. Longao, you're courting death. Humph, it's not certain who will die. At this moment, Chen Buer was extremely depressed. If he were to fight with Longao normally, he had full confidence that with his strength, he would definitely be able to defeat Longao within 3 moves. But now, there was a Golden Flame Crystal Beast behind him. If he delayed for even a minute, even if he could kill Longao, he would still be killed by the Golden Flame Crystal Beast. Was it worth it to exchange his life for Longao's? Definitely not. Because of this, Chen Buer sent out a palm strike. Since he didn't succeed, he could only choose to dash in another direction. This time, Chen Buer was obviously using all his strength. He wished that he could grow 2 more legs and leave this place. However, Longao didn't give Chen Buer a chance to leave. All this time, Longao didn't want to provoke Chen Buer. Still, Longao didn't want to provoke the Martial Artists Alliance unless he had no other choice. Firstly, Tong Linga and Yu Yin were both in the Martial Artists Alliance. Once he started a war with the Martial Artists Alliance, wouldn't it be difficult for Yu Yin? Secondly, he had already provoked the Black Wind Valley and the Heavenly Sect as soon as he stepped into the Qianwu continent. Moreover, there was the threat of the Long family's great elder. It wouldn't be wise to make an enemy of the Martial Artists Alliance at this time. Thirdly, he did it for the Dragon Sect and his family. Needless to say, the Martial Artists Alliance was very powerful in the Qianwu continent. He didn't care if he provoked them, But what about the dragon sect? Because of this, Longao didn't want to provoke Chen Bu. That was why he had been enduring. However, some people were just so despicable. If you didn't provoke them, they would provoke you again and again. Longao knew that if he continued to endure, even he would look down on himself. It would be a lie if he said that he wasn't afraid of the golden flame crystal beast. Even so, Longao still risked his life to kill Chen Bu. He knew that if he didn't remove the roots, it would grow again. If Chen Bu survived this time, he would definitely be the biggest threat to him. Longao clung onto Chen Bu and didn't let him go. Just like this, the two of them continued to chase after Chen Bu. There was even a titled Great Emperor Spirit Beast following behind them. If this scene was seen by outsiders, it would probably cause a commotion. Spatial teleportation. Longao continued to refine the spatial energy. The power of spatial teleportation gradually increased. Just like this, even though there was a huge gap between Longao and Chen Bu, Longao was still able to shorten the distance between them with the help of spatial teleportation. Longao, do you want to perish together with me? Chen Bu was really scared. He didn't expect Longao to be a lunatic who wouldn't let him go. He didn't even care about his own life. Under such circumstances, even if Chen Bu was a titled Great Emperor, what could he do? After all, there was a supreme spiritual beast behind him. Chapter 802. Longao didn't answer him. He chose to ignore him. From Longao's point of view, Chen Bu would die no matter what happened. After a few minutes of chasing, Longao finally overtook Chen Bu with his last spatial teleportation. Self-created martial technique, sorrow of the heavens and earth. Longao was like a tornado as he swept Chen Bu away. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. If it was any other time, Longao would definitely not use a soul formation attack on an orange-level great monarch martial artist. Even with his eyes closed, he knew that Chen Bu's soul was far superior to his. If there was a slight mistake, the consequences would be unimaginable. However, at this moment, Longao couldn't care about anything else. The golden flame crystal beast was his only chance. If he missed this opportunity and Chen Bu escaped, he wouldn't care about himself. But what about the dragon sect? After sweeping Chen Bu away, Longao finally chose to use a soul formation attack. Chen Bu's soul was heavily attacked. There was a huge gap between their cultivation levels. If it were a Saint Venerable or a regular Saint Emperor, they would have died without a doubt after being attacked by the soul formation. Even so, Chen Bu didn't feel good. Longao was overjoyed. He didn't expect his attack to be so successful. Longao didn't hesitate as he activated the Earth Elemental Art. The surrounding Earth Elemental Force pressed down on Chen Bu fiercely. A gravitational space was formed and suppressed Chen Bu. Just like this, Chen Bu was forced to stop under the double attack. At this moment, Longao turned around and left. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared without a trace. Not long after Longao left, the Golden Flame Crystal Beast arrived. The Golden Flame Crystal Beast furiously released a terrifying flame energy. This time, the Golden Flame Crystal Beast had already swallowed Chen Bu. Longao, you will die without a burial ground. Chen Bu was very unwilling. Until now, he still couldn't understand why he was tricked by a mere Saint Emperor. Unwilling. The moment Chen Bu was swallowed by the Golden Flame Crystal Beast, he took out a small ball and crushed it. In the distance, seeing Chen Bu being devoured by the Golden Flame Crystal Beast, Longao let out a long sigh of relief. Even if the Martial Artists Alliance found out about Chen Bu's death, at least they would not seek revenge. Moreover, things had already come to this point, so he had to take it one step at a time. The instant Chen Bu was devoured, the instant the small ball was crushed. Somewhere in the Sky Martial continent, in a dark secret room, a black-clothed old man who was meditating suddenly opened his eyes. His face was filled with anger and disbelief. What happened to Berg? Why would the blood essence pill shatter? Could it be that Bur has already been killed? The black-clothed old man's expression was extremely ugly and gloomy. Men. Sir, what are your orders? Something happened to Berg. No matter what happened, you have to find out for me. Remember, Berg's goal this time is. Longao had no idea what happened to Chen Bur and the black-clothed old man. Using the power of spatial teleportation, it was not difficult to get rid of the golden flame crystal beast. Longao, I am really happy to see that you are fine. Seeing Longao suddenly appear, Tonglinga was extremely surprised. However, the hearts of the other three people skipped a beat. Because in the end, the three of them were not happy with Longao. The reason was simple. The three of them also had fantasies about Tonglinga. However, the three of them knew that with their status, it was impossible for such a thing to happen. But that was how humans were. If they could not have something, they would not be willing to let others have it. Moreover, Longao was definitely a loser in the eyes of the three people. How could the three of them accept a loser's counterattack and gain Tonglinga's favor? Because of this, the three of them felt that it was a pity that Longao was not killed by Chen Bur and the Golden Flame Crystal Beast. Actually, in the hearts of the three of them, they didn't put Longao in their eyes because the three of them clearly knew that in terms of strength, Longao could only be considered a joke in front of them. However, they were afraid of Tonglinga, so the three of them could only be angry but did not dare to say anything, let alone take action. Nodding, Longao did not say anything. Seeing that Tonglinga was fine, he was relieved. Brother Long, I want to ask you something. Where is Chen Bur? Seeing that Longao returned safely, but Chen Bur did not, the three of them had a bad feeling. It seemed that something was going to happen to Chen Bur. If that was the case, the consequences would be unimaginable. Chen Bur was very unfortunate. He was devoured by the Golden Flame Crystal Beast. Perhaps he has already died. Ah! Hearing Longao's words, everyone, including Tonglinga, was shocked. In an instant, the four of them had a strange expression. Longao, we are in big trouble. Longao was not a fool. Of course, he could sense something fishy from Tonglinga's words. Could it be that Chen Bur's identity was not ordinary? You guys wait here. Longao, follow me. Longao followed behind Tonglinga and came to a secluded place where the three of them could not hear their conversation. Linga, what happened? Tonglinga's expression was very ugly. After thinking for a while, she finally said helplessly, Longao, let me ask you now. Did you kill Chen Bur? Longao did not doubt Tonglinga at all. He said, although I did not kill Chen Bur personally, it is related to me. Hearing this, Tonglinga's expression became even uglier. Longao, to tell you the truth, Chen Bur's identity in the Martial Artists Alliance is not simple. If it was just Chen Bur, his death would not be a big deal. But the problem now is that Chen Bur has a very powerful backer. Even my master has to be careful. Tonglinga did not continue, but the meaning in her words was very clear. Longao shrugged and was not worried at all. He said, even if Chen Bur's identity is not simple, it is very secretive. It seems that his backer will not know about it. Shaking her head, Tonglinga said, Longao, it is not that simple. As far as I know, Chen Bur's grandfather once condensed his essence blood into a small ball. Once Chen Bur died and the small ball exploded, his grandfather would know. Before Longao could speak, Tonglinga continued, if there is no accident, the small ball should have exploded when Chen Bur died. Therefore, Chen Bur's grandfather will definitely intervene. At most one day, a large number of masters from the Martial Artists Alliance will come. Therefore, Longao, this matter must not be leaked. Otherwise, you will be in big trouble. P.S. Thank you for supporting Xiaoju. Tomorrow and the day after tomorrow will be 8 chapters. Chapter 803. Hearing Tonglinga's words, Longao's face turned pale. What he was afraid of really happened. However, since things had come to this, He could only take one step at a time. Longao didn't continue to dwell on this issue. He smiled and said, "It's okay, Linga. I believe you understand my situation. Therefore, let's part ways here. If fate allows, we'll meet again in the future." Tonglinga was shocked when she heard this. "Why is that?" "Longao, I just said that no matter what happens, as long as I'm here, no one can hurt you. It's mine." She wanted to say something but stopped on second thought. Tonglinga seemed to want to say something, but she swallowed it in the end. Even so, Longao had already guessed Tonglinga's identity. Just by looking at Ma Jian and the other three's respectful attitude towards Tonglinga's position in the martial arts alliance was definitely not low. Tonglinga seemed to want to say something, but she was stopped by Longao. Whether Tonglinga was willing or not, Longao was still going to leave. However, at this moment, Tonglinga and the other three's faces suddenly changed and became extremely pale. "Linga, what's going on?" Longao was very curious. He didn't know what was going on with the four at this moment. After all, with their strength, as long as they didn't encounter powerful titled Great Emperor's spiritual beasts or divine beasts, they would be fine. "Longao, hurry up and leave. If I'm not wrong, Chen Bu's Baka is here." Tonglinga seemed to have thought of something. She turned around and looked at Ma Jian and the other two. She said, "Remember, no matter what happens, you can't tell anyone about what just happened. Do you understand?" Now that things had come to this point, would Ma Jian and the other two dare to refuse? Tonglinga heaved a sigh of relief when the three nodded. However, Chen Bu's Baka was here. If Longao couldn't leave in time, the consequences would be unimaginable. Longao also knew the seriousness of the matter. He would be lying if he said he wasn't afraid. Moreover, he didn't want to implicate Tonglinga and the other three. Longao didn't speak any more nonsense. He turned around and left, and he utilized teleportation to vanish without a trace in the blink of an eye. After Longao left, Tonglinga still seemed to be a little worried and continued, "The three of you, listen carefully. It's still the same sentence. No matter what happens, you are not allowed to speak of what happened before. If I find out, no matter who it is, I will not let him off." Seeing that Tonglinga was real, Ma Jian and the other two didn't dare to say anything. About 10 minutes later, Chen Bu's grandfather, Chen Yi, suddenly arrived with the so-called Red Blood Guards. Chen Yi, the elder of the Martial Artists Alliance, was also a warrior of the Supreme Tao. His status and strength were very high. This was why Chen Bu could be so powerful in the Martial Artists Alliance and even look down on Tonglinga. "Greetings, Elder." Seeing that it was Chen Yi who had personally arrived, the four of them were shocked. This was because everyone knew that Elder Chen Yi would not easily choose to come out of seclusion unless something major had happened. Chen Yi had been in seclusion for many years in order to break through to a higher realm. It was because of this that they could see how much Chen Yi valued his grandson. For the sake of Chen Bu's life, he chose to come out of seclusion and rushed over so quickly. According to Tonglinga's prediction, even Chen Yi would need more than 10 days to arrive here smoothly. But what was the result? She never expected that Chen Yi would arrive from the Martial Artists Alliance in just a few hours. She couldn't imagine how Chen Yi did it. Not only that, the four of them also didn't expect that Chen Yi would bring the Red Blood Guards this time, and there were more than 100 of them. "Linga, where is Bu?" Chen Yi's face was very gloomy. Although he had many grandchildren, he only liked Chen Bu. Otherwise, he wouldn't have come out of seclusion and come all the way here. After all, it wasn't easy to arrive in a few hours. Shaking her head, Tonglinga said helplessly, "Elder Chen, we just encountered a titled Great Emperor Flame Golden Crystal Beast. Chen Bu saved us." Although Tonglinga didn't finish her sentence, the meaning in her words was very clear. Chen Yi wasn't a fool. Of course, he could tell. But did he choose to believe her? The answer was obviously that he didn't believe her. Chen Yi didn't continue asking. The reason was very simple. With Tonglinga's status, even he couldn't do anything to her. Chen Yi then looked at Ma Jian and the other two and asked indifferently, "You three, tell me. What happened just now?" Ma Jian and the other two looked at Chen Yi and then at Tong Linga. It could be said that they were in a dilemma. After all, whether it was Tong Linga or Chen Yi, the three of them couldn't afford to offend them. Elder Chen, senior sister Linga is right. Thanks to senior brother Chen, we would have been devoured by the golden crystal beast. Before Ma Jian could finish his words, Chen Yi snorted coldly. His body exuded a strong murderous aura. Do you think I'm a fool? Since you don't want to say more, I'll help you. Elder Chen. He completely ignored Tong Linga. With more than 100 red blood guards there, even Tong Linga could only watch and didn't dare to make a move. After all, there was no one behind her. If Chen Yi went crazy and attacked her, the consequences would be unimaginable. Chen Yi really wanted to know what happened to his grandson. In anger, he directly started to search the souls of the three people. This was Chen Yi's unique martial skill. Although it was despised by warriors, Chen Yi couldn't care less at this time. Seeing Chen Yi search the souls of Ma Jian and the other two people, Tong Linga's face was very gloomy. However, she couldn't do anything. No matter what, this was not the martial artists' alliance. It wasn't her territory. Once she opened her mouth, she would be at a disadvantage. She might even go for wool and come home shorn. In just a few seconds, the soul search was completed. However, Ma Jian and the other two people were already dead. This was the terrifying part of the soul search. Once a person was searched, they would be almost crippled. For his grandson, Chen Yi didn't hesitate to kill 3 people. One could imagine how angry Chen Yi was at this moment. So that's how it is. Longao, no matter where you run to, I will kill you and avenge my grandson. Linga, things have already come to this point. You'd better leave here. After leaving this sentence, Chen Yi didn't continue to say anything. After going through Sohu, he already knew that his grandson was killed because the souls of Ma Jian and the other two wouldn't lie. As for Longao, Chen Yi more or less had some understanding. P.S. Sorry, Xiaoju took the last day off. Although his cold is getting better, it's still too soft. Plus, today is National Day, so he went home to accompany his parents. Tomorrow, he will officially start to update again. Chapter 804. Looking at the disappearing figure, Tong Linga's face was full of worry. Chen Yi had a high status in the martial artists' alliance. Not to mention Longao, even Tong Linga was afraid of him. Without any hesitation, Tong Linga had decided to inform Longao to be careful of Chen Yi no matter what. Tong Linga had never thought that Chen Yi would not only come in person, but also bring more than 100 red blood guards. The red blood guards were Chen Yi's personal guards. There were more than 1,000 people in total. Most of them were great emperors, and there were also some supreme Dao warriors. One could imagine what the red blood guards meant. Longao had not left from the beginning to the end. The reason was simple. He had used the golden flame crystal beast to kill Chen Bu-er. If Chen Bu-er's grandfather came out and harmed Tong Linga, wouldn't he feel guilty? That was why Longao had been hiding and watching from afar. If Chen Yi had searched Tong Linga's soul, Longao would have attacked without hesitation. However, Ma Jian was not related to him. There was no need for him to take the risk for someone he didn't know. Every man for himself and the devil takes the hindmost. Longao didn't think that he was that strong. He could kill his enemies decisively without hesitation, but to his family, brothers, and friends, he was loyal and righteous. This was the so-called Longao. Seeing that Tong Linga was fine, Longao let out a long sigh of relief. That was why Longao guessed that Tong Linga's status in the Martial Artists Alliance was not simple. Even a supreme Dao warrior was afraid of Tong Linga. A supreme Dao warrior. Longao could clearly sense that the old man who had just searched the souls of Ma Jian and the other two was a powerful divine realm martial artist. As for the 100 people the old man had brought, only 2 of them were supreme Dao warriors. The rest were all great emperors. This force was very powerful. No matter where he went, he would be destroyed. Leave like this? Longao might have chosen to leave in the past. However, He had decided to take advantage of this opportunity to gain experience. Without danger, how could he improve? Longao had always believed that opportunities and dangers coexisted. In this world, there was no free lunch, and there was no such thing as a pie falling from the sky. Although Chen Buer's grandfather was very powerful, as long as he was careful, this might be his best chance. Just like that, Longao didn't leave. Instead, he slowly followed Chen Yi's team. If it were a regular Saint King, it would have been impossible for them to avoid Chen Yi's senses. However, Longao was not afraid because he had Long Fu's assistance. Let alone Chen Yi, even the heavenly Dao from back then would have found it very difficult to discover Longao's traces. It was also because of this that Longao was so bold. The vast forest was dark and oppressive. Chen Long had already noticed Tong Linga following them, but he didn't stop her. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. After 3 whole days, Chen Yi's face became more and more sunken as they failed to find Longao's traces. Actually, Chen Yi had guessed that Longao might have already left the forest. Not to mention, it was not easy to find a person in the vast forest. You forced me. Chen Yi suddenly took out a crystal ball from his bosom. It was the size of a head. Just now, when he was searching the souls of Ma Jian and the other 2, he had preserved the aura of the 3 of them and Longao. Then, he forcefully poured the aura into the crystal ball. Master, you're going to use the crystal ball. Seeing Chen Yi take out the crystal ball from his bosom, everyone was shocked. Because these people were all loyal to Chen Yi, they knew a lot of things about Chen Yi. Because of this, they were very clear about what their master's crystal ball meant. Waving his hand, Chen Yi said in a very cold voice, I don't know why, but I have a feeling that this person is still here and is near us. However, I don't know how this person did it. He was actually able to avoid our presences. Until now, Chen Yi still couldn't figure it out. He didn't know how Longao did it, because he trusted his intuition very much. Now that things had come to this point, Chen Yi would definitely find Longao. For his grandson, for his face, and for his anger. Now, this is the only way. You guys guard the 4 sides. Once you sense his presence, remember, don't kill him. Understood, Master. In the distance, seeing Chen Yi suddenly stop and take out a crystal ball, Longao was very curious. He didn't know what Chen Yi wanted to do. Was he crazy? With Long Fu's help, Longao would never have thought that Chen Yi would sense his presence. In the crystal ball, Chen Yi continuously transferred his energy into the crystal ball. The power of the crystal ball was very strong. Although it could determine a person's aura, every time it was used, it would consume a lot of energy. Not to mention, Chen Yi was at a critical moment in his cultivation. If he was unlucky, using the crystal ball this time might affect his breakthrough. Every time he used the crystal ball, he would need a lot of energy. At this moment, the crystal ball suddenly lit up and emitted a powerful aura. It instantly spread out and shrouded the entire forest at a speed that couldn't be seen by the naked eye. That's right, it shrouded the entire forest. Even with Chen Yi's strength, his aura couldn't cover the entire forest. Otherwise, Chen Yi wouldn't need to use the crystal ball. Northeast direction. As soon as Chen Yi finished speaking, 20 great emperors separated from the 100 over martial artists and shot towards the northeast direction. Just as Longao was curious about what Chen Yi was doing, he was shocked. He didn't know how Chen Yi did it. However, with 20 great emperors surrounding him, Longao didn't dare to be careless. He didn't dare to be careless. He immediately teleported and his body suddenly disappeared. However, what made Longao feel incredulous was that no matter where he teleported, Chen Yi would lock onto him. He was like a bird trapped in a birdcage and couldn't escape no matter how hard he tried. What was going on? How did Chen Yi lock onto him? After thinking about it, Longao couldn't figure it out. Chen Yi couldn't find him in the past 3 days. This meant that Chen Yi couldn't find him at all. If that was the case, why did Chen Yi constantly lock onto him? This was even more powerful than the heavenly Dao. What was going on? Suddenly, Longao thought of the crystal ball that Chen Yi took out. Could it be that Chen Yi was able to lock onto his position because of this crystal ball? Although he didn't quite believe it, he knew that it shouldn't be wrong. Chapter 805. Crystal Ball. Longao was sure that the reason why Chen Yi was able to locate him was because of the crystal ball that he had just taken out. Longao was very clear in his heart that if this matter continued, it would always be a danger to him. More than 100 great emperor martial artists chased after Longao continuously. Among them, there were even 2 supreme Dao martial artists. On the spot, Chen Yi kept pouring his energy into the crystal ball. After all, to maintain the crystal ball, he had to have a steady flow of energy. Because of this, Chen Yi's face became gloomier and paler. The crystal ball required too much energy. Even with his strength, he could not maintain the crystal ball for a long time. One could imagine how much energy the crystal ball required. Chen Bu's grandfather? Looking at the young man who suddenly appeared in front of him, Chen Yi was surprised. He stopped pouring energy into the crystal ball and put it away. The 100 over martial artists who had successfully rushed back were just about to intercept and kill Longao, but they were stopped by Chen Yi. He waved his hand and everyone stepped back, leaving space for Longao and Chen Yi. "You are Longao?" The current Longao still had a head full of blood-red hair and was dressed in black. His resolute face was filled with coldness, giving people a feeling that he was decisive in killing. "You killed my grandson?" With a smile, Longao shrugged helplessly and said, "I was just giving you a taste of your own medicine. Your grandson did not want to let me go, so I had to kill him." Ha ha ha. Hearing Longao's words, Chen Yi suddenly laughed crazily as if he had heard the funniest thing in the world. He had never thought that the person in front of him would be so arrogant. "Longao, I have heard about you. I have to admit that I admire your rise. But you have to know that this is the Middle Tianwu continent, not the Zhozhou continent. If you want to be arrogant here, you have to think about the consequences." Everyone knew that the Zhozhou continent was a joke in front of the Middle Tianwu continent. A big joke. In the Middle Sky Martial continent, let alone the 10 superpowers, any random second-rate power could easily deal with the 9 continents. This was the so-called Middle Sky Martial continent. Longao didn't care about Chen Yi's words at all. If he was afraid of the Middle Sky Martial continent, he would not have left the 9 continents to come here. So what? "Longao, you've already been expelled from the Long family. Even if I kill you, the Long family won't appear. Are you really not afraid?" Chen Yi didn't attack immediately because as far as he was concerned, since Longao had appeared and was right before him, then he could annihilate Longao at any moment if he wanted to. Scared? If I was afraid, would I have taken the initiative to appear here? What an idiot. "I really want to know your identity in the Martial Artists Alliance. So you know I'm from the Martial Artists Alliance." Before Longao could speak, Chen Yi continued, "Longao, it seems like you're deliberately provoking the Martial Artists Alliance." Longao waved his hand and interrupted Chen Yi. He said, "Wait, is there something wrong with your brain? You don't have to accuse me. The grudge between me and Chen Bu is a personal grudge. It has nothing to do with the Martial Artists Alliance. Elder Chen, this has nothing to do with Longao." At this moment, Tonglinga finally arrived in time. Seeing that Longao had been targeted, Tonglinga was shocked and her face turned pale. She knew very well that as long as Chen Yi was willing, Longao would not be able to leave. "Linga, I've already given you a lot of face. I hope you'd better stop before going too far. Otherwise, I'll take you to see your father and master. From now on, it won't be easy for you to leave the Martial Artists Alliance." If it were any other time, Tonglinga would definitely be very scared. But now, for Longao, Tonglinga would rather never leave the Martial Artists Alliance, as long as she could help Longao avoid this disaster. "Elder Chen, you don't understand what just happened. Let me tell you." Waving his hand, Chen Yi said impatiently, "I don't want to know what just happened. I only know one thing. Longao not only killed Bu, but also provoked the Martial Artists Alliance. This alone is enough for him to die thousands of times." Looking at Chen Yi in front of her, Tong Linga knew very well that Chen Yi loved Chen Biyue the most. Otherwise, Chen Yi would not have come in person. Was Longao really going to die here? Elder Chen, if you dare to kill Longao, I'll die here. I don't believe that you'll explain this to my father and master. Hearing Tong Linga's words, Chen Yi's face turned pale. He could ignore Tong Linga, but he could not ignore Tong Linga's father and master. But Chen Yi had already decided that no matter what happened, he would avenge his grandson this time. But what Chen Yi did not expect was that Tong Linga would be implicated in this matter. Linga, even if I leave the Martial Artists Alliance, Longao will die. Chen Yi's words had already expressed his attitude. Tong Linga was not a fool. Of course, she knew it clearly. Tong Linga was about to say something, but Longao waved his hand and said, Linga, this matter has nothing to do with you. Leave. As he spoke, Longao used his spiritual sense to transmit his voice. After hearing this, Tong Linga seemed to be very worried. But seeing that Longao kept winking at her, she could only leave helplessly. But when she left, Tong Linga still said, Chen Yi, I'll still say the same thing. If anything happens to Longao, I won't let you go. If you want to leave the Martial Artists Alliance, humph. Although Tong Linga didn't finish her sentence, her attitude was clear. After Tong Linga left, Chen Yi breathed a sigh of relief. Unless it was absolutely necessary, he really did not want to get Tong Linga involved. As for what Tong Linga had just said, he chose to ignore it directly. Chen Yi was very confident that the Martial Artists Alliance would not fall out with him for Longao. What a joke! Not to mention himself, the thousands of red blood guards in his hands were not something that the Martial Artists Alliance could easily give up. Longao, Tong Linga has already left. Do you really think you can leave here alive? You! Longao laughed and said, I'm not afraid of hurting your confidence. You and everyone else can't keep me here. Do you believe me or not? Ha ha ha. Hearing Longao's words, Chen Yi laughed crazily again because he had never seen someone as arrogant as Longao. He was extremely arrogant. I really want to see how you're going to leave. Chapter 806. Chen Yi didn't believe that Longao could escape under his nose. If that was the case, he would rather commit suicide. But at that moment, a shocking scene occurred. Looking at everything that happened before him, Chen Yi rubbed his eyes dramatically. Until now, he still couldn't believe that Longao disappeared for no reason. That's right, he disappeared for no reason. Inside the Dragon Seal space, Longao was pleasantly surprised because Long Fu just told him that from now on, he could enter the Dragon Seal space at any time. This way, he could ignore all experts. In the past, other than Long Ming and Long Qiong, everyone, including him, couldn't enter the Dragon Seal space. They could only enter with their souls. Long Fu, what's going on? Longao was a little excited. Of course, he knew what it meant to be able to enter the Dragon Seal space. Just like this time, if he couldn't enter the Dragon Seal space, Longao definitely wouldn't dare to appear in front of Chen Yi. It should be known that other than Chen Yi, who was a Supreme Dao warrior, there were more than 100 Great Emperor warriors and 2 Supreme Dao warriors. Master, I've refined the flame crystal and other energy. The Dragon Seal space has recovered by 1/10. So, from now on, you can enter the Dragon Seal space at any time without needing to contact me. Just as expected. Since he could enter the Dragon Seal space at will, what could Chen Yi do? Master, although you can enter the Dragon Seal space at any time, I still have to remind you that it's best not to do so in front of some people. Otherwise, we'll be in trouble if we're noticed. Nodding his head. Longao was well aware of this point. Although the Dragon Seal space was very powerful, the Dragon Seal hadn't completely recovered. In this world, there were still many people who could shake the Dragon Seal, such as Tian Dao. Without continuing to dwell on this issue, Longao left the Dragon Seal space and reappeared in the next second. At that moment, Chen Yi looked as if he had seen a ghost. His face was filled with disbelief. Because Chen Yi never thought that Longao could really disappear suddenly. If he didn't see it with his own eyes, He wouldn't have believed it even if he was beaten to death. Qian Yi took out the crystal ball again. Just as he was about to input his power into the crystal ball, Longao suddenly appeared. Before Qian Yi could react, the crystal ball that Qian Yi had placed on the ground had already disappeared. Longao, you're courting death. Looking at the crystal ball that had disappeared on the ground, Qian Yi was shocked. Then, Qian Yi immediately understood what had happened. When he stood up, he found that Longao's figure had disappeared again. As a dignified deity realm martial artist, being toyed with by a puny little holy emperor like this was simply stifling to death. Qian Yi, it's better to keep a low profile. Don't think you're so great. I can tell you clearly that you're not even a fart. Looking at the youth that had suddenly appeared in front of him, Qian Yi's expression was very ugly. This time, Qian Yi had clearly learned his lesson and didn't act rashly. He didn't know how Longao had done it. Longao, hand over the crystal ball and I can spare your life. Otherwise, I will immediately bring the Scarlet Blood Guards to the 9 provinces and slaughter everyone in your dragon sect. Qian Yi didn't have the slightest confidence that he could lock onto Chen Fan's aura. Apart from threatening him, there was no other way. Although this was indeed a little despicable and shameless, he couldn't care less now that things had developed to this point. With regards to Longao's matter, Qian Yi could be considered to have a rough understanding. However, no matter what happened to Dragon Sect, Qian Yi still had full confidence. A small Dragon Sect, as long as he mobilized the Scarlet Blood Guards, a few people could easily destroy Dragon Sect. Hearing this, Longao's heart thumped. It would be a lie to say that he wasn't worried. After all, the strength of the Martial Artists Alliance and Qian Yi was there. If Qian Yi really brought the Scarlet Blood Guards to the 9 provinces, once the Dragon Sect was found, the consequences would be unimaginable. But even so, Longao still had an indifferent expression on his face. He said indifferently, Qian Yi, if you want to bring the Scarlet Blood Guards to the 9 provinces to deal with my Dragon Sect, I can only tell you one thing. Whatever, I don't care. The current Longao was like a hooligan in the marketplace. He didn't care about Qian Yi's threat at all. The more Longao acted like this, the uglier Qian Yi's expression became. If Longao really didn't care about anything, it would be very difficult for him to deal with him. Was he really going to bring the Scarlet Blood Guards to the 9 provinces just to deal with him? Longao, what do you want? He sneered in his heart. It seemed that he had made the right bet this time. Longao knew very well that if he showed a little bit of fear and worry, then there was no doubt that Qian Yi would immediately bring the Scarlet Blood Guards to the 9 provinces to deal with his Dragon Sect. Shrugging helplessly, Longao said with a smile, it's not what I want, it's what you want. Qian Yi, you have to remember that it's you who has been biting me, not me who has been chasing after you. Before Qian Yi could speak, Longao continued, Qian Yi, you'd better not provoke me. I still say the same thing. Chen Buer's death was his own fault. It has nothing to do with anyone. Goodbye. Before leaving, Longao said, 1 year later, I will send this crystal ball back to the Martial Artists Alliance. But during this year, you'd better not provoke me. Otherwise, this crystal ball, Longao didn't finish his words. He turned and left quickly. The meaning of his words was very clear. Qian Yi didn't chase after him because he really cared about the crystal ball. He didn't have to take revenge, but he couldn't let the crystal ball be damaged. From the beginning to the end, Qian Yi had never thought that he would fall into the hands of a little saint emperor. Sir, are we just going to let it go like this? Waving his hand, Qian Yi said coldly, immediately send people to the 9 provinces. No matter what happens, capture everyone in the Dragon Sect. Leave no one alive. Yes, sir. Looking at the disappearing figure, Qian Yi's lips slowly curled into a cold smile. He said to himself, Longao, you don't have to be so arrogant. Later, I will let you know the price of arrogance. Although Longao had acted very calmly just now, Qian Yi definitely wouldn't sit still and wait for death. If he wanted to take the crystal ball directly, it would be very difficult. Therefore, the only way was to go to the 9 provinces and capture all of Longao's family. Chen Yi didn't believe that Longao really wouldn't care about the safety of his family. Chen Yi didn't continue to stay. Other than returning to the Martial Artists Alliance, the Red Blood Guards he sent out had already left the Qianwu continent for the 9 provinces. Chapter 807. Longao wasn't sure if he had made the right bet this time. However, Chen Yi didn't chase after him. Longao already knew that he had made the right bet. What exactly was the crystal ball that he had just obtained? It was hard to imagine that Chen Yi would give up revenge for the crystal ball. It seemed that this crystal ball wasn't simple. However, after thinking about it, he felt relieved because Chen Yi had used this crystal ball to constantly lock onto his position no matter where he went. Longao felt a little tired and came to a more secluded place. Placing the crystal ball that he had just snatched on a huge rock, Longao tried to pour the energy in his body into the crystal ball continuously. He didn't know if he didn't try, but he was shocked when he tried. Longao never thought that this seemingly ordinary crystal ball would require so much energy. In just a few seconds, the energy in his body was sucked dry. If he continued to draw like this, he would be sucked dry in less than a minute. Master, your luck is really good. You can even get such a treasure. Long Fu knew it. Long Fu, what exactly is this thing? After thinking about it, Long Fu said, Master, if I'm not wrong, this crystal ball should be a spatial artifact. Spatial artifact? Longao was very curious. Could it be that there were different types of artifacts? Master, I believe you've already guessed it. That's right, there are many types of divine artifacts. For example, spatial divine artifacts, 5 elements divine artifacts, and lightning divine artifacts. Among the many divine artifacts, spatial divine artifacts are definitely the most powerful. So that was it. Hearing Long Fu's words, Longao was pleasantly surprised. He finally knew why Chen Yi valued this crystal ball so much. It seemed that it was a spatial artifact. Long Fu, I just tried to use the crystal ball and found that the crystal ball's power was too great. In just a few seconds, the energy in my body was sucked dry. Nodding, Long Fu wasn't surprised at all and said, Master, with your current strength, of course you can't use the crystal ball. If you force it, you will only be devoured by the crystal ball. What about Chen Wan? Just now, I sensed that even with this person's strength, he's unable to use the true power of the crystal ball. If I'm not wrong, this crystal ball's power should be far greater than this. If it can reach its peak, even enveloping the entire Martial Heaven continent wouldn't be a problem. My grass. He cursed in his heart. According to what Long Fu said, the power of this crystal ball was really terrifying. However, Longao also understood a problem. That was, if he wanted to use the true power of the crystal ball, he would need a huge amount of power. At the very least, he couldn't do it now. Master, with your strength, you might not be able to forcefully activate the crystal ball, but I have a way. What is it? Longao was a little impatient. After all, he had just seen how powerful the crystal ball was. Even if Chen Yi borrowed the power of the crystal ball, he would be able to lock onto his position at any time. If it wasn't for the dragon seal space, whether or not he would be able to escape this time would be the biggest problem. Master, as long as you put all your power into the dragon seal space, I can help you use the crystal ball. It's impossible to sense the entire Martial Heaven continent, but it should be more than enough to reach that person's level. So it was like that. With regards to Long Fu's meaning, Longao naturally understood it and didn't continue to dwell on it. Longao asserted that if nothing unexpected happened, Chen Yi should have already left the forest. In other words, he should be safe for the time being. After leaving the dragon seal space, Longao walked around. Other than constantly encountering powerful spiritual beasts, it seemed that wanting to quickly increase his strength wasn't an easy thing to do. In the end, Longao still chose to leave. With regards to this matter, Longao was more or less depressed. Because all along, he didn't want to provoke the Martial Artists Alliance. After all, he didn't come to the Martial Heaven continent to make enemies, but to do many things. Other than the Long family accident, the most important thing was Yu Yin and Ao Xue. Longao had already decided that no matter what happened in the Martial Heaven continent, he would find his two lovers. Just as Longao left, he immediately received a piece of news from the Black Wind Valley and the Clear Sky sect. Hearing this news, Longao's anger instantly soared like a volcano erupting. Without any hesitation, he immediately left for the Clear Sky sect, ignoring the alliance between the Clear Sky sect and the Black Wind Valley. So, ever since Longao killed the young Valley Master of the Black Wind Valley, the Black Wind Valley and the Clear Sky sect jointly announced to the world that no matter who it was, as long as they could kill Longao, they would be heavily rewarded by the two sects. However, ever since Longao left the Long family, he disappeared. No matter how hard the Clear Sky sect and the Black Wind Valley searched, they couldn't find any traces of Longao. Since they couldn't find Longao, the Black Wind Valley and the Clear Sky sect directly targeted the Dragon sect in the 9 provinces continent. However, what made the Black Wind Valley and the Clear Sky sect extremely depressed was that when they went to the 9 provinces continent, the Dragon sect had already disappeared. Just like Longao, they couldn't even find a shadow of the Dragon sect. Just as the Black Wind Valley and the Clear Sky sect were gloomily returning to the Martial Heaven continent, they were pleasantly surprised to find that a woman had just left the 9 provinces continent and was heading to the Martial Heaven continent. If it were an ordinary person, they would naturally not attract the attention of the two major factions. However, this person was different. With Long Jing's strength, she was naturally not a match for the two major factions. The result was obvious. Just like that, Long Jing was forcibly brought to the Clear Sky sect. Furthermore, the Black Wind Valley and the Clear Sky sect jointly announced this to the world. The Black Wind Valley and the Clear Sky sect's intentions were very simple. They wanted to use Long Jing as bait to lure out Longao. In the end, the Black Wind Valley and the Clear Sky sect did not know the relationship between Long Jing and Longao. However, they would take it one step at a time. If they could use this person as bait to lure out Longao, then everything would be fine. Longao had always felt guilty towards Long Jing. However, he could not accept her love, so he could only keep his distance. However, this time, the Black Wind Valley and the Clear Sky sect captured Long Jing. Her fate was unknown. Naturally, Longao would go, regardless of who it was for, even if it meant going to a mountain of blades or a sea of flames. As for the Clear Sky sect, before Longao came to the Martial Heaven continent, he had already expected that his enemies would come looking for him. Hence, he had already made an agreement with Longao that the Dragon sect would go into hiding 2 months after he entered the Martial Heaven continent. Unless he personally returned to the 9 provinces continent. Indeed, it was as expected. Longao's prediction came true. Fortunately, he had prepared a countermeasure in advance. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. Chapter 808. Middle Sky Martial Continent. Clear Sky Sect's main hall. Zhao Yu's expression was very unpleasant as he spoke with concern. Master, the Black Wind Valley has placed Longjing in the sect. Once the Longao comes looking for trouble, how are we going to resist? Before young Dingtian could speak, Zhao Yu continued, Master, the Black Wind Valley's intention is very simple. They just want us to fight with the Longao. When the time comes, the Black Wind Valley will be able to reap the benefits. Young Dingtian nodded. How could young Dingtian not know what Zhao Yu was talking about? Even if he knew, what could he do? The Black Wind Valley's strength was there for all to see. The Clear Sky sect's strength was simply not enough to contend with the Black Wind Valley. They clearly knew that the Black Wind Valley wanted to watch from the sidelines, but the Clear Sky sect was helpless. Sigh. Young Dingtian let out a deep sigh, and it was this sigh that revealed too much helplessness. From the beginning to the end, young Dingtian couldn't understand why this matter would develop to such an extent. If it was just the Longao, the Clear Sky sect wouldn't have to fear him. But the problem now was that the Longao had millions of spirit beasts backing him up. Young Dingtian was even more clear that the Black Wind Valley knew about this point, which was why they threw this hot potato to him. The Black Wind Valley wasn't a fool. If the Longao was just a small Saint Emperor, the Black Wind Valley wouldn't let go of this opportunity. Hearing the master's sigh, Zhao Yu also let out a deep sigh. Master, what should we do now? I have already asked. Long Jing's elder brother, Long Potian, is Long Ao's brother. Furthermore, according to what I know, the Long Ao has a favorable impression of this woman. If nothing goes wrong, the Long Ao will definitely come. Ian, I might not have interacted with the Long Ao for a long time, but I more or less understand his character. Looking at the empty main hall, Yang Dingtian spoke helplessly. The Long Ao and the Black Wind Valley aren't existences that we can provoke. It seems like we can only ask grandfather to come out of seclusion. Hearing this, Zhao Yu was shocked. Of course, he knew what it meant to know the old ancestor. Master, back then, the old ancestor was in seclusion to break through to the divine Dao realm. If we were to invite the old ancestor now, just in case, although Zhao Yu did not finish his words, the meaning in his words was already very clear. After all, they were very clear about how frightening it was to rush to the supreme Dao stage. Once it was destroyed, the two of them really could not bear the consequences. I understand what you mean, but in the end, if there's really no other way, we can only ask grandfather to step in. Father, are you really going to invite great-grandfather out of seclusion? At that moment, Yang Chenna suddenly pushed open the door and entered. Her face was extremely gloomy because she never expected that her father would invite her great-grandfather out of seclusion. Others might not know, but how could she not know how terrifying her great-grandfather's strength was? Seeing Chenna's sudden appearance, Yang Dingtian let out a heavy snort and said, Chenna, get out. From now on, you are not allowed to interfere with the Long Ao's matters. Otherwise, I will lock you up. Yang Chenna didn't leave and continued to speak. Father, you clearly know that this is the Black Wind Valley's scheme. Why did you fall for it? Young lady, this matter isn't as simple as you imagine. The Long Ao and the Black Wind Valley are both troublesome. But if we were to choose, we would rather fight the Long Ao and not the Black Wind Valley. Why is that so? Yesterday, we received news that the Black Wind Valley had officially joined the Martial Artists Alliance and obtained the support of the Martial Artists Alliance. If we were to go against the Black Wind Valley, it would be equivalent to going against the entire Martial Artists Alliance. Let alone us, even if the old ancestor were to come out of seclusion, I believe he would also choose the Black Wind Valley. Yang Chenna wasn't a fool and naturally knew what Zhao Yu meant. Yang Chenna was very clear about what the Martial Artists Alliance meant. If the Black Wind Valley had really joined the Martial Artists Alliance, then this matter would be very troublesome. What exactly should they do? Could it be that the sect was really going to deal with the Long Ao? Father, are you really going to deal with the Long Ao? Looking at his daughter, Yang Dingtian sighed in his heart and said, if we don't deal with the Long Ao, the Black Wind Valley will not let this matter rest. For a single person, we are going to let the sect face the entire Martial Artists Alliance. Chenna, tell me, is it worth it? It wasn't worth it, it definitely wasn't worth it. Even if she wasn't the master, young Chenna also knew that this matter was 100% not worth it. Since the matter had already reached this stage, she couldn't say anything else. Young Chenna turned and left. Her attitude was very clear. She wouldn't ask about this matter anymore. Master, how are we going to deploy? Long Ao has over 1 million spirit beasts. If we choose to clash head-on, we will definitely not be a match for him. How about this? Get all the disciples to hide and only leave the martial artists who are above the Saint realm. To shoot the man, shoot the horse first. To capture the bandits, capture the leader first. Yang Dingtian's intention was very clear, and Zhao Yu also understood it. Just like this, the Clear Sky sect had decided on the countermeasure to deal with the Long Ao. After receiving the news, Long Ao rushed to the Clear Sky sect with his fastest speed. However, he didn't immediately step into the Clear Sky sect. The reason was very simple. Long Ao was very clear that the Black Wind Valley and the Clear Sky sect had captured Long Jing to deal with him. If he were to recklessly step into the Clear Sky sect like this, he would definitely be the one to suffer. At a place not far from the Clear Sky Peak, Long Ao stood at the same spot quietly and looked at the Clear Sky Peak in the distance. Clear Sky sect, You forced me to do this. Originally, Longao didn't want to fight to the death with the Clear Sky sect. Firstly, he didn't have too much energy to deal with the Clear Sky sect. Secondly, he felt that Yang Qian wasn't a bad person. However, the Clear Sky sect had been clinging on to him and didn't want to let him go. Not only did they announce to the world that they were hunting him down, but they also forcefully captured Long Jing. This had already escalated the grudge. What should he do? Longao's mind had been thinking of all sorts of countermeasures. In fact, Longao had an idea, and that was to release the Million Corpse Demon Army. When the time came, they would be able to trample the Clear Sky sect easily. However, Longao didn't do it in the end because Longao didn't want to create too many massacres. Master, you have already obtained the space-time wheel. I hope that you won't use the space-time wheel unless you have no other choice. Hearing Long Fu mention the space-time wheel at this time, Longao was very curious. He didn't know why Long Fu would mention it at this time. When he left the Clear Sky Peak, he had already successfully obtained the space-time wheel with Long Fu's help. Longao was looking forward to this space-time divine tool. However, just as Long Fu had said, the space-time wheel was too powerful. With his current strength, he was still far from being able to control the space-time wheel. If he forcefully used the space-time wheel, there was a high chance that he would be devoured by the space-time wheel. Chapter 809. With regards to Long Fu's worries, how could Longao not know about Longao's worries? But he didn't bother about the space-time wheel because Longao knew that the most important thing right now was to deal with the Clear Sky sect and rescue Long Jing. Without being able to mobilize the Million Corpse Demon Army, it seemed like it would be an extremely difficult task to rescue Long Jing from the Clear Sky sect's hands. No matter what, the Clear Sky sect was here to deal with him. Did he really have to mobilize the Million Spirit Beast Corpse Demon Army? It was still the same statement. Unless it was a last resort, Longao would never casually mobilize the Million Corpse Demon Army. After thinking about it, Longao still couldn't figure out what to do. The night sky was filled with stars. In the pitch-black night, only a few crickets could be heard. The surroundings were terrifyingly silent. Right at this moment, a black figure flashed by like a spectre. After a few flashes, it had already vanished into the boundless night sky. Clear Sky Peak's peak, outside the main hall. Longao arrived outside the main hall and didn't search for Long Jing's whereabouts. Because he knew clearly that since the Clear Sky sect had a premeditated plan to deal with him, Long Jing would definitely be hiding in a very concealed place. Rather than searching blindly, he might as well ask the Clear Sky sect directly. All of a sudden, the surroundings were brightly lit, but there weren't many people. The Clear Sky sect's Master Longao, Grand Elder Zhao Yu, 4 Saint Emperors, and 7 Saint Venerables were all present. They surrounded Longao. Longao, you are finally here. Yang Dingtian and Zhao Yu seemed to be very confident. It was precisely because of this that the two of them were very happy. The reason was very simple. Since Longao was here, it meant that the relationship between Longao and Long Jing wasn't simple. Yang Dingtian, I am very curious. I have a question for you. Please. Since things had already developed to this stage, Yang Dingtian didn't make a move immediately. After all, Longao was already standing in front of him. Even if Longao released a million spirit beasts, he wouldn't be afraid. It could be said that as long as he had Long Jing in his hands, Longao would have to be obedient. I killed Kong Feng. Even if someone wants to avenge Kong Feng, it should be the Black Wind Valley. If that's the case, why did the Supreme Sky Sect get involved in this flood? Longao was really curious about this. Even if the overall strength of the Black Wind Valley was above that of the Supreme Sky Sect, the Supreme Sky Sect was not stupid. Why would they stand up for the Black Wind Valley? Ha ha ha, Longao, you're already a dead man. What can you do even if you know? Yang Dingtian, it is precisely because I am about to die that I wish to know what is going on. Yang Dingtian looked deeply at the young man in front of him. He thought for a moment and finally said, Martial Artists Alliance. Longao did not ask any further, as he already knew what the Clear Sky Sect meant. Without a doubt, other than the Black Wind Valley, the Clear Sky Sect was also afraid of the Martial Artists Alliance. Longao wasn't a fool and had already guessed that the Black Wind Valley had already joined the Martial Artists Alliance. If that was the case, he could understand why the Supreme Sky Sect would do this. The Black Wind Valley wanted to reap the benefits and let the Supreme Sky Sect take the lead. This way, even if the Supreme Sky Sect was destroyed, the Black Wind Valley would not be affected at all. Longao, seeing that you are still a talent, I will let you off. As long as you are willing to surrender obediently, I can make the decision to save your life. How about it? Save his life? Longao would never believe Yang Dingtian's nonsense. Even if Yang Dingtian could save his life, breaking his limbs and crippling his dantian was simply a fate worse than death. Longao would never believe in fate. He had always believed in one principle, which was that he was in control of his own fate and not the heavens. Seeing that Longao didn't speak, how could Yang Dingtian not know what Longao meant? Yang Dingtian's expression was very unsightly as he didn't wish to shed all pretense of cordiality unless he had no other choice. No matter what, the other party still had 1,000,000 spirit beasts. If Longao chose to perish together with them, it was hard to say what would happen to the sect. It was precisely because of this that Yang Dingtian didn't make a move immediately. Longao was also very clear about this point. The trump card, the 1,000,000 spirit beast corpse slaves, was his greatest trump card. Longao had already thought about it. He might not be willing to use the 1,000,000 corpse slaves, but if this matter couldn't be resolved properly and his life was threatened, he would have no choice but to release the 1,000,000 corpse slaves. By then, it wouldn't be a problem to flatten the Supreme Sky Sect. Longao and Yang Dingtian stared at each other and seemed to have sunk into silence, waiting for the other party to speak. At this moment, two people suddenly appeared in front of the main hall. Yang Dingtian was very depressed when he saw the two of them, but he still spoke helplessly. "Brother Kong, Senior, why are you here?" Yang Dingtian never expected that the Black Wind Valley's Valley Master and the #1 expert would arrive at the same time. Because the Black Wind Valley had already expressed their attitude, which was to borrow the Supreme Sky Sect to deal with Longao. They would watch from the sidelines and reap the benefits. Since that was the case, why did Kong Chong and Kong Chen come? Kong Chong was the #1 expert of the Black Wind Valley and a yellow-class Great Emperor. With his strength, he didn't even put Yang Dingtian in his eyes. Waving his hand, Kong Chong said, "Master Yang, I would like to ask you, why are you still not making a move?" "Making a move? Make a move, your sister." Yang Dingtian cursed in his heart and thought, "Damn you, this was originally a grudge between the Black Wind Valley and Longao. Why did you push the blame onto me? If Longao was alone, it would be fine. But Longao had 1,000,000 spirit beasts behind him. What kind of concept was this? If this wasn't the Supreme Sky Sect but the Black Wind Valley, Yang Dingtian would have already made a move. He couldn't wait to make a move. Yang Dingtian didn't say much about Longao's secret. Yang Dingtian wasn't a fool. While the Black Wind Valley was scheming against the Supreme Sky Sect, he was also constantly scheming against the Black Wind Valley. If he could make use of this opportunity to completely destroy the Black Wind Valley, it would definitely be beneficial to the Supreme Sky Sect. "I don't have full confidence." Yang Dingtian obviously had full confidence, but he still didn't care about his reputation and said that he wasn't confident. This was simply inconceivable in the eyes of outsiders. The dignified Supreme Sky Sect was actually afraid of a mere Saint Emperor. Was this possible? But Kong Chong and Kong Chen didn't have the slightest doubt. Because if Yang Dingtian could say such words, it seemed like he really wasn't confident. Could Longao really be that powerful? Kong Chong was astonished. Kong Chen looked at the youth opposite him and asked, "You are Longao? You obviously know, but you still ask when you already know the answer. Are you bored?" Longao almost flipped out, but even Yang Dingtian was afraid of Longao. Kong Chen didn't make a move immediately because no one knew how powerful Longao was. If he was really that powerful, it wouldn't be good if they suffered a double loss. Chapter 8-10. The more Longao acted like this, the more fearful Kong Chen and Kong Chong were. Especially since young Dingtian had mentioned that even the Clear Sky sect was fearful of Longao. Black Wind Valley had a rough understanding of Longao. Longao had risen to power at the fastest speed in the 9 prefectures. Furthermore, he had created the Dragon Sect. Just this point alone wasn't something that everyone would dare to do. Black Wind Valley was initially fearful of Longao. No matter what, Longao had a Long family behind him. In front of the Long family, even with the Martial Artists Alliance as their backing, Black Wind Valley still didn't dare to act recklessly. But the situation was completely different now. The Long family had announced to the world that Longao was no longer a disciple of the Long family. To be exact, Longao would no longer be a disciple of the Long family for the next 9 months. If Longao was killed at this time, the Long family wouldn't come looking for trouble. It was precisely because of this that Black Wind Valley was so anxious. Black Wind Valley knew clearly that if Longao returned to the Long family in 9 months, it wouldn't be easy to kill Longao again. This time, Longao would definitely die. Longao, kill yourself. PFFF Longao nearly laughed out loud when he heard Kong Chen's words. He originally thought that Black Wind Valley would definitely make a move when they arrived. He never expected Kong Chen to say such words. Longao shrugged his shoulders helplessly and didn't even bother to speak. Longao, seeing that you are still a disciple of the Long family, I will give you a chance. Longao waved his hand and didn't give Kong Chen any chance to continue speaking. He was already very impatient. Looking at young Dingtian and Kong Chen, Longao suddenly said, "If you want to fight, then fight. What's with all the nonsense? But young Dingtian, I hope you won't break your promise." Just as Longao finished speaking, Kong Chen and Kong Chong instantly looked at young Dingtian beside them. Their faces were obviously not friendly. Young Dingtian cursed in his heart. How could he not know what Longao meant? Young Dingtian wanted to benefit from the conflict between the Black Wind Valley and the Supreme Sky Sect. He smiled and said, "Longao, there is no need for you to sow discord. My Supreme Sky Sect and the Black Wind Valley will advance and retreat together. No matter what you say, there will be no conflict between us." Although young Dingtian said so, he wasn't confident in his heart. After all, the Black Wind Valley and the Clear Sky Sect weren't friends. It was another matter if he was worried. Kong Chen and Kong Chong looked at young Dingtian deeply. Although they didn't want to believe it, they still couldn't trust young Dingtian. Young Dingtian was very cunning. If he really came to some kind of agreement with Longao, the Black Wind Valley would be the one to suffer in the end. Master Yang, now is the time. Young Dingtian sighed deeply in his heart. Even though he was very unwilling, he still waved his hand. At this moment, 7 Saint Venerables and 4 Saint Emperors all shot towards Longao. These 11 martial artists were practically the strongest force of the Supreme Sky Sect. It was also because of these people that young Dingtian was confident that he could keep Longao here. "You forced me to do this." Longao originally didn't want to use the so-called million-strong corpse slave army. After all, he didn't want to cause unnecessary killing. The Supreme Sky Sect seemed to have thought of this as well and hid all their disciples. Since that was the case, there was no need for him to be apprehensive. Because of this, Longao directly summoned the million-strong corpse slave army from the Dragon Seal space. But at this moment, Longao was extremely surprised. No matter how he tried to summon, he couldn't summon a single spirit beast corpse slave. What exactly happened? The million-strong corpse slave army was Longao's trump card, but he couldn't use it now. Looking at the 11 powerful martial artists shooting towards him from all directions, Longao didn't dare to be careless. He immediately used the spatial teleportation to constantly teleport his body. What kind of martial skill is this? Kong Chen and Kong Chong's expressions turned ugly as they looked at the constantly changing body of the youth. They had never seen such a powerful martial skill before. "Master Yang, no matter what happens this time, we have to take down Longao. Do you understand?" Kong Chen and Kong Chong had already decided that if the Supreme Sky Sect couldn't kill Longao, It would mean that there was something wrong with the Supreme Sky Sect. At that time, they wouldn't hold back and would directly eliminate the Supreme Sky Sect. Both of them had also decided that even if they had to pay a certain price, they had to do it. Yang Dingtian nodded. He knew what the two were thinking. Don't worry. I've already made arrangements. Longao won't be able to escape even if he grows wings. That's for the best. Kong Chen thought for a moment and said, I believe Master Yang already knows that the Black Wind Valley has officially joined the Martial Artists Alliance. Therefore, this matter is also related to the Martial Artists Alliance. I hope Master Yang can take care of himself. Looking at the two, Yang Dingtian cursed in his heart. Too shameless. He had seen shameless people before, but he had never seen such shameless people. The two of them were shameless to the extreme. Yang Dingtian knew very well that the two of them wanted to use the Martial Artists Alliance to suppress him. The Supreme Sky Sect might not be too afraid of the Black Wind Valley, but with the Martial Artists Alliance, even a second-rate force wouldn't dare to play any tricks, let alone the Supreme Sky Sect. The two of them mentioned the Martial Artists Alliance at this time. Everyone knew what they were thinking. You two, I believe you've seen Longao's strength. If we were to fight face to face, Longao would be dead by now. However, Yang Dingtian didn't finish his words, but the meaning in his words was very clear. Longao had used some kind of martial arts technique. His body kept changing. Even if 11 martial artists worked together, they still wouldn't be able to do anything to him. The two of them weren't blind. Of course, they could see it. Let's do it together. In the end, Kong Chen and Kong Chong had no choice but to completely lose face. No matter what happened, they had to kill Longao. With regards to this, Zhao Yu and Yang Dingtian didn't have any objections. Just like this, the 4 martial artists made a move at the same time. In addition to the 11 from before, there were a total of 15 people. If this matter were to spread out, it would definitely be a laughingstock. But since things had reached this stage, the Black Wind Valley and the Supreme Sky Sect couldn't care about anything else. They only had one goal, and that was to kill Longao. It was because he knew the difference in strength between him and his opponents that Longao didn't choose to fight face to face. Instead, he kept on teleporting. However, Longao was even more clear in his heart that even if he could borrow the power of teleportation, it was definitely not a long-term solution. After all, the other party had a total of 15 powerful martial artists. If he was slightly careless, he would fall into a state of eternal damnation. Because of this, Longao immediately communicated with Long Fu to ask what was going on. Before Longao could ask, Long Fu had already said, "Master, you have to be careful. The Heaven Dao is nearby." Chapter 8:11. The Heavenly Dao was nearby. Hearing Long Fu's words, Longao was shocked. At this moment, Longao finally knew why he couldn't summon the Corpse Demon Army. He didn't dare to leak any of his aura because there were 2 Chaos Stone tablets in his Great Dantian. If the Heavenly Dao sensed it, the consequences would be unimaginable. Not only was he unable to summon the Corpse Demon Army, Longao knew that because of the Heavenly Dao, he couldn't even enter the Dragon Seal space. If that was the case, things would be really troublesome. Longao continuously used spatial teleportation. For a short period of time, he could indeed ignore the joint attack of the 15 cultivators. But if the battle dragged on, it wouldn't be a long-term solution. Just like that, Longao began to counterattack. Under normal circumstances, not to mention 1 against 15, even if he casually took out one person, Longao would not be a match for him. But the situation now was different. Longao relied on the power of spatial teleportation to continuously dodge. Even if he counterattacked, the 15 cultivators couldn't do anything to Longao. After 10 moves, the 15 of them were depressed to the extreme because they didn't know how Longao did it. "Longao, if you have the ability, then fight us fairly. Why hide?" The 15 of them didn't continue to attack and all stopped. Longao also didn't use spatial teleportation. He coldly looked at the 15 people in front of him and said with disdain, "Fair fight? Kong Chen, bullying with numbers, this is a fair fight. Before anyone could speak, Longao continued, if this is a fair fight, then you guys are really shameless to the extreme. They were speechless by Longao's words because in this battle, they were indeed bullying with numbers. If this spread out, they would definitely be laughed at. Longao, since you feel that this is unfair, then I'll give you a chance. You can choose any one of us. As long as you can win, I'll let you go. How about it? But you have to promise me that you won't use the martial skill you just used. The 15 of them were really afraid of Longao's spatial teleportation. Even if they joined forces, they might not be able to hurt Longao. Shaking his head, Longao couldn't be bothered to speak any more nonsense. Talking to shameless people was really an insult to one's intelligence. The heavenly Tao was nearby, but Longao wasn't sure of its exact location. If the heavenly Tao suddenly descended and sensed the 2 chaos stone tablets in his dantian, then whether or not he could leave alive would really become a problem. Because of this, Longao no longer had any intention of staying. As for Longjing, he knew very well that as long as he was alive, he believed that the Black Wind Valley and the Clear Sky sect would not harm her. Regarding this, Longao was still very confident. Without saying anything more, Longao turned and left quickly. With spatial teleportation, Longao disappeared without a trace in the blink of an eye. Just as everyone was about to give chase, Kong Chong suddenly waved his hand and said with a grave expression, "There's no need to chase. As long as we can't think of a way to deal with this child's mysterious martial skill, even if we catch up to him, what can we do?" Everyone nodded in their hearts. What Kong Chong said was the truth. The mysterious martial skill was too strong. Then what should we do now? Kong Chong thought for a while and said, "We have to think of a way. It seems like this child is not simple." Longao, who left quickly, did not leave the Clear Sky sect. Longjing had not been rescued yet, so he couldn't just leave. However, the heavenly Tao was nearby. Who knew when it would appear? Clear Sky Peak, a secluded place. Long Fu, what's going on? He was a bit impatient. Longao knew that on this continent, perhaps only Long Fu could sense the existence of the heavenly Tao. Longao was very afraid of the heavenly Tao. Other than the godly mathematician, the heavenly Tao was the strongest existence on the martial heaven continent. "Master, you can relax a bit. Although the heavenly Tao is nearby, it's clearly not targeting you. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been able to leave so easily. However, Master, you have to be careful. Once the heavenly Tao senses the 2 primal chaos tablets in your body," Long Fu didn't finish his words, but his meaning was very clear. Nodding, Longao also understood this point. He then asked, "Long Fu, can you sense the exact location of the heavenly Tao?" "Master, what are you planning to do? I really want to know why the heavenly Tao is nearby." Longao was not a fool. Of course, he knew very well that since the heavenly Tao appeared here, there must be something very important. He was very curious about this matter. In any case, nothing would happen to Longjing in the short term. He might as well take advantage of this time to see what the heavenly Tao was up to. It had to be said that Longao's guts were truly great. If it had been an ordinary person, they would have known that once the heavenly Tao sensed the primal chaos tablets, there would have been great trouble. They definitely wouldn't have sent themselves to their doorstep. However, Longao still wanted to go. Even though he knew there were tigers on the mountain, he still wanted to go. Long Fu naturally knew his master's character. He wasn't the slightest bit surprised. "Master, have you really decided? First, I want to know why the heavenly Tao has descended this time." "Master, I also don't know why the heavenly Tao has descended. However, I am certain that as long as you get close to the heavenly Tao and relax in the slightest, the aura of the primal chaos tablets will be sensed. At that time, even if you hide in the dragon seal space, it will be useless. So that's how it is." Longao was just thinking that if he could borrow the power of the dragon seal space, then even if it was the heavenly Tao, what could it do? However, Long Fu had already said that the dragon seal space's power couldn't withstand the heavenly Tao. Longao wasn't going to throw his life away for nothing. Since he couldn't borrow the power of the dragon seal space, then why should he provoke the heavenly Tao? Longao didn't leave. Instead, he quietly sat cross-legged and prepared to cultivate. When the heavenly Tao had completely left, then he would leave to save Longjing. Array. Just as Longao was cultivating, he suddenly thought of a possibility. He could borrow the power of the array to deal with the Clear Sky sect. Originally, he wanted to let the Clear Sky sect go. However, Longao knew that even if he had a benevolent heart, the Clear Sky sect wouldn't show him any mercy. Especially since the Martial Artists Alliance supported the Black Wind Valley, the Clear Sky sect would deal with him even more. If you are heartless, then don't blame me for being unjust. It was precisely because of this that Longao decided to use this time to lay down a great array. At that time, even if he couldn't kill the Clear Sky sect, he could at least cause them some trouble. Longao didn't hesitate at all. He chose an extremely powerful array from the Burning Sky array. It was called the Everlasting Tornado Illusion Array. With Longao's current array skills, this array could kill a Holy Venerate or even a Holy Emperor. However, it would be difficult to kill a Martial Emperor. Chapter 8:12. Everlasting Tornado Illusion Formation. Longao started to set up the formation silently. From the beginning to the end, neither the Black Wind Valley nor the Clear Sky sect expected that Longao was an array master. In the Tianwu continent, there were only two kinds of people who were above the martial artists. One was the alchemist, and the other was the array master. Clear Sky Peak, in the main hall. Master, Kong Chen and Kong Chong obviously don't trust us by interfering. I'm worried that after this incident, the Black Wind Valley will get rid of us. Yang Dingtian nodded. He knew what Zhao Yu was worried about. After thinking for a while, Yang Dingtian said, the reason why the Black Wind Valley is so confident is because they have the support of the Martial Artists Alliance. This time, the Black Wind Valley won't give us a chance. Master, do you mean that the Black Wind Valley will really do this? Yes. For a moment, Yang Dingtian and Zhao Yu didn't speak. The entire main hall fell into silence. After some time, Yang Dingtian sighed deeply and said, Longao is still on the Clear Sky Peak. Zhao Yu didn't seem to be able to react to the master's words. Then, Zhao Yu's expression changed. He said in disbelief, Master, this is impossible. Longao finally left. How could he continue to stay on the Clear Sky Peak? When the old ancestor established the Clear Sky sect, he set up a super formation. So, I'm sure that Longao didn't leave. Zhao Yu knew about the sect's formation, but he didn't know anything about the formation's function and power. In other words, there were only a few people who knew about the formation. Because of this, Zhao Yu finally believed that Longao was in the Clear Sky sect. Master, what should we do? Don't alert the enemy. I will activate the formation later. To protect the sect, Longao must die. Before Zhao Yu could speak, Yang Dingtian continued, inform Kong Chen and Kong Chong that I have a way to deal with Longao, but they have to agree to two conditions. Yang Dingtian and Zhao Yu chatted for a while before Zhao Yu left the main hall to look for Kong Chen and Kong Chong. Great Heaven Peak, somewhere. Longao was in the middle of setting up the spell formation when he suddenly stopped. A look of curiosity appeared on his face as he stood there quietly, looking around. Array formation? As an array master, and having inherited Fen Tian's experience in array formations, Longao's comprehension of array formations had already reached a very high level. It was precisely because of this that he felt that there was an array formation within the Clear Sky Peak itself. Although he had only sensed a little, Longao was still very confident in his senses. Longao didn't continue to set up the formation. He calmed his heart and began to carefully sense the aura of the array formation in the surroundings. However, he knew that unless the Clear Sky sect activated the formation, even an Emperor-class array master wouldn't be able to sense it, let alone him. Array masters were ranked from lowest to highest: first-grade array master, second-grade array master, third-grade array master, fourth-grade array master, fifth-grade array master, sixth-grade array master, seventh-grade array master, eighth-grade array master, ninth-grade array master, king-grade array master, Emperor Grade Array Master, Venerable Grade Array Master, Imperial Grade Array Master, and Divine Grade Array Master. Longao didn't hesitate and immediately continued to set up the formation, which was the so-called Everlasting Tornado Illusion Formation. Great Heaven Peak, in front of the main hall. Yang Dingtian, Zhao Yu, Kong Chen, and Kong Chong had all gathered. This time, it wasn't just the martial artists from the Clear Sky sect. Even the powerful martial artists from the Black Wind Valley had all arrived. After Kong Chen and Kong Chong received the news, it was obvious that they were determined to kill Longao no matter what happened this time. Master Yang, you just said that Longao is still in the Clear Sky sect. I would like to ask, where is Longao now? I don't know. Don't know? Upon hearing Yang Dingtian's words, both Kong Chen and Kong Chong's faces turned extremely gloomy. Kong Chen said coldly, Master Yang, are you playing with us? Kong Chen and Kong Chong were obviously enraged. However, at this moment, Yang Dingtian said, both of you, please calm down. Although I can't confirm Longao's exact location, I am certain that Longao is in the Clear Sky Peak. Kong Chen and Kong Chong didn't say anything. They were very curious and didn't know why Yang Dingtian was so confident that Longao was in the Clear Sky Peak. Both of you, when the old ancestor founded the Clear Sky sect, he left behind a super array. Before Longao entered the Clear Sky sect, I had already activated the array. Therefore, I am certain that Longao is in the Clear Sky Peak. Master Yang, there is one thing that I don't understand. Since you are certain that Longao is in the Clear Sky Peak, why don't you confirm his location? I don't want to alert him. Yang Dingtian didn't explain further. Kong Chen and Kong Chong nodded with satisfaction because they chose to believe Yang Dingtian in the end. In fact, they were very confident. With the strength of the Black Wind Valley and the support of the Martial Artists Alliance, the Clear Sky sect wouldn't dare to play any tricks even if they were given 10,000 guts. In that case, Master Yang, please begin. Yang Dingtian nodded. Of course, he knew what Kong Chong meant. Without any hesitation, he immediately activated the array of the Clear Sky sect. The Clear Sky sect. Back then, the Clear Sky Divine Path had spent several years to set up a super great formation, which was the so-called Clear Sky Formation. It took advantage of the right time, place, and people. If this formation left the Clear Sky sect, its power would be reduced by half. When the Clear Sky sect was activated, the entire Clear Sky Peak immediately released a terrifying aura, which instantly covered the entire area. Sensing this aura, Kong Chen and Kong Chong's faces turned pale. They could clearly sense that if the Clear Sky sect used this array to deal with them, the consequences would be unimaginable. Fortunately, with the deterrence of the Martial Artists Alliance, the Clear Sky sect wouldn't do anything rash unless there was something wrong with their heads. Longao, since you are here, come out. Hearing Yang Dingtian's words, everyone was very curious because there was no sign of Longao. Could it be that Yang Dingtian was talking to the air? However, in the next moment, Longao's figure appeared out of thin air. Perhaps because they had learned a lesson from the previous incident, no one was surprised. They looked at the young man in front of them, and the happiest ones were Kong Chen and Kong Chong. Longao, I have to admit that you are really arrogant. Before Kong Chen could finish speaking, Longao said, shut up. The Black Wind Valley is trash. If it weren't for the Clear Sky sect, the Black Wind Valley wouldn't even be worth a fart. After looking at everyone, Longao continued, if the Clear Sky sect used this array, it would be more than enough to destroy the Black Wind Valley. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.